Hey everyone, welcome on the Friday Night Live chat. Mrs. B, what's happening, Tom? Hey Randy, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in. Hey Steve, Randy, Tom. A little bit of a light night tonight, it seems like. I see where Cayman's gonna be coming on later. But anybody wants to jump in on the chat, go right ahead. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the video I put out. Hey Tar Heel. Gun line. Everybody's starting to come in. Out. Hey, Colorado Hives. Tim. Hopefully everybody's bees are doing good. I know mine are. There's Brian coming in from powers out here in Colorado. High winds. Well, it's supposed to on your cell phone. Yeah, it's supposed to have high winds here tonight and it's raining and everything. Hey, Sourwood. So I got everything here buttoned down here at the mill. Got doors chained down and big chunks of wood in front of them so they stay where they should be. Yeah, my bees, Randy, are looking strong. I did give them some Avis Biologic back last fall. And I don't know whether I've never had bees that strong before. As far as from the bottom board to the top. Usually they're in the top two boxes, like I said in the video. And it was quite a surprise. Southeastern Colorado highs. You got wind out there too, huh? And all. But anyway, I finally got the bees taken care of and got them down in the two medium boxes, and then I added two supers. And I forget who, Lee, who suggested that. It was in the comments. And I think I might put a third honey super on there. Hey, Robin Hood. Am I feeding any 1-to-1? No, I don't need to. I never feed in the springtime, only in the fall. Get them ready for winter. Hey, Jeff. I was watching a little bit of, what was his name? Nathan from Duck River Honey. Looks like several of his hives blew over. Hey, Steve. Is it still cold up there in New York? Hey, Todd. How's everything out in California? Has it stopped raining yet? Yeah, there's Grayson. How you doing? So anyway, like I say, I got my hives put all back together, got them all completely changed over to single brood chamber management. I did have several other hives that I had to put a couple extra honey supers on because of the population. It's 79 and rain tomorrow up here at Steve's up in New York State. It's supposed to start raining tonight. We got a wind advisory, something like 40-mile-an-hour winds. I hope we don't get them. Hey, there's Tom coming in. Hey, Tom.
Hey, everyone.
So what's it like up your way weather-wise?
We're in a severe thunderstorm watch and warning around midnight.
Yeah, we got high winds here.
Yeah,
hey,
same
Chris.
thing.
Yep, Chris is in. And all, and hey, Dennis. Hey, Dan Weaver from Weaves Bees. Welcome. I think you're new to the chat. We talk bees here and all kinds of techniques. And Jason, watched your video. Yeah, what I was trying to say there, Jason, I added a couple brood frames in my one honey super in that one hive because there was some cat brood in there. I could let them backfill, but I've often found that a brood comb, that especially the brown or black looking, it's hard to cut with a hot knife or a hot plane. And I could let it, they could probably store in there, but I'm going to try to call that out and put the regular, white capping honey supers in. That's why I was going to do it that way and all. Randy's got 54 highs coming back from California this week. So he must do almonds.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. What's it say? James Noah from mile 43. I'm not quite sure what that means. Hey, Mark. Good to see you.
Yeah, I don't know what the temperature is right now.
It's 60 degrees right now. It's quite warm.
Yeah,
Tomorrow it's going to rain and it's going to be 70 degrees, but it's going to rain.
So, yeah, I think we're close to 60, upper 50s for sure. Yeah, I don't have my phone on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been busy working on my horizontal hive. I got the box and all the 21 nukes ready. I just got to get a lid for it.
James from Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, Charlie, I'll be putting supers. I got a couple supers on now. All the rest of the hives will be getting supers this week.
Yeah, I've got supers on all the hives behind me. I'm going to go out there and maybe take some pictures if it's bright tomorrow. All those hives behind me, the winter coverings are completely off. All the underpinning of the what do you call it? Coroplast boards are taken off.
Yeah, I got all my winter off, and this past week I got all my bees down to the bottom box on my doubles. On my singles, I didn't have to. So I'm going to do like 2/3 singles and 1/3 double, just because that's how it's coming out of winter.
Right. But yeah. Hey, Larimore Farms. Keith. Hey, Morgan. Yeah, I'm putting them on, the weather. I think it's next week. It's going to be like 70 degrees during the daytime.
Right.
And so that's going to be good. And I mean, there's still some maples blooming. Hey, Ed. And that kind of stuff. And there's going to be some nectar coming in, and of course, when it gets a little warmer, it'll be even better.
checked my one super I put on 3 days ago, and they already were putting nectar in the center one. So there is some nectar coming. Probably from the dandelions.
I haven't seen any dandelions yet.
Oh, I got them up.
So,
and then I'll be doing a little bit of equalizing. I got a couple hives that are too big right now. Swarming issues. I'm going to take some of the brood out and put in a couple of my smaller ones.
Yep. So, Dan Weaver, where are you located at? And I've not seen you in the chat before, but you're always welcome. So anyway, that's what's happening with me. I got that done. I went in on a Monday, I think it was, and my nukes, I've been feeding them sugar bricks, and I went ahead and I had a pan of sugar bricks made up, and so I fed all my nukes. And then I went back one of the other havens and went back to one of my nukes and I reversed them, 5/5. And
Gotcha.
the top half was cap brood. And then the bottom half of the 5 framers, the sun was going behind the barn. That's the downside of that. And it was, I went out to where the sunlight, I could catch some sunlight, and the frame was full of larvae, small young larvae.
Right.
And stuff like that. So I reversed them, put a sugar brick on, and then, left them alone. I wanted to look into the other ones, but I just figured I ran out of time, and the weather has not been, I like, 60-degree weather, something that's not going to chill the brood or anything else.
Right.
All that. So that's why I just kind of left them alone since then. No.
I checked my end of September broken log hive that I could save no brood, no stores, and I gave it a frame of brood. I gave it a frame of stores. Then I put sugar bricks on it, and it made it through winter. It's like, wow.
There's Bob.
Hey.
Dan is 2 miles north of Washington, PA, and 12 miles south of Pittsburgh. So he's Dan, you're up there next to what's his name? Steve Rapapsky up there, past president of the Pennsylvania State Beekeepers Association.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's okay down in Arkansas. I heard that they just had a couple of maybe F5 tornadoes today.
I don't know. Not sure about that.
Haven't seen it either. Have not seen it yet, sir.
Hey, Kyle.
The
Hey, Carl.
Hey, Jan, DS. Hey, Mike. Is that Michael or Mitchell? I always get them confused. I guess it's Mitchell, M-I-C-H. So,
Oh yeah, Mark Miller says tornadoes all around him.
hey, didn't.
let's see.
Yeah, we're supposed to get 50, 60 mile per hour winds tonight and tomorrow. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are getting high winds like that tomorrow?
Yeah, it's been doing this the whole winter and spring. I know my hives are good up to 60 mile per hour because it's been tested 3 times already this winter, spring. But
They had them winds here a couple weeks ago, and I thought, man, I got these doors that are like 16 feet tall and 24 feet wide, 2 of them sliding together like that, and I had a pack of lumber behind them inside the shed with a forklift, with 4x4s pushing against the bottom of them. I had a 4x4s on the outside with a great big timber out there. That's what I did this afternoon.
Okay.
I worked. I worked my job. That's what I got to do today. Not much. Not much.
Yeah,
people.
Brian says he has had the winds out there all day long too.
Yeah.
But so I was watching Nathan from Duck River there, Bob, and he has these test tube holders that you can put your queen cages or the hair roller cages in.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's pretty darn nice. I mean, better than a piece of wood or whatever. I did a little bit of research so far. I actually asked him what size it was, but it seems the biggest, the hair roller cages measures about an inch at the bottom. So he said his are 30 millimeter, which is like inch and 3/16. So I think those were the ones that he bought. I asked him about it or not. So hopefully he'll get back to me. But that'll be they're little plastic ones,
Right.
It'll be perfect for. He had him in some kind of a chicken incubator.
I had to pack somebody's market.
I gotta check my subscription with Nathan because I think I got taken off by YouTube, but I missed that notification.
Off of whose?
Duck River.
Oh.
I get notified. I don't follow him that closely.
I get
so many notifications now that it's hard to keep up with everybody's.
Bob, I never get your live notifications, and I just checked all my settings, and it's like, I don't know why I don't get them.
I don't know. Sometimes, like, there's people. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and share this out while I'm sitting here in the community. Let me see. Post that out there. Yeah, I haven't looked. They had me making a playlist. Tim had me making a playlist. I haven't even looked to see if it's how it's going. So making a playlist with other people's videos. So if you're using my lure and caught a swarm and you did a video on it, let me know. I'll add it to the playlist. And then people, if they look at that playlist, they'll be able to find you on my channel and hopefully, maybe get a couple extra subs out of it.
Mm-hmm. Bob's no longer in his Happy's place.
Oh, man, I know that place. Did you see that video, Charlie?
Yeah, I did. That was a pretty place.
It surprised me because I went through the backyard and I'm like, oh, it's just another house. And then I see this creek with the big rocks and everything. I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, that's what they said. They said, well, we came in, looked at the house. We liked the house. But then when we came up and saw the back deck over, with the river and everything, or I don't know if it's river, stream, creek, whatever you want to call it.
Creek, I call it.
And they're like, yeah, it's sold now. Of course, they haven't had to deal with mosquitoes yet or anything like that. So we'll see how that goes this year. Yeah. But I'm trying to I fell asleep, Charlie, after our phone call. I was laying on the bed. That's why I was late.
Well, when you called, I was in bed too.
And then
I was resting up for the night.
And
I was at the dentist today. I finally got my insert in my root canal. Took over a year process.
There you are, Todd.
Hey, Todd.
Hey, how you guys doing? Hang on a second.
Hey, Todd. No, that house wasn't near a mall. I said, Three Boys Bees asked, was that house near a mall? No, that one's not the one I was at. Not far from the airport, actually. But branch rather than a creek. That's true.
So what's Todd up to?
Recovering. I had the day off and I was messing with bees all day. seem to run into a problem of swarming.
Hmm.
I got to, when I drove up, I parked in front of them and I saw a lot of activity and I thought, oh, it must be a orientation flight. I get out of the truck, I start stoking up my smoker, and all of a sudden I hear bees in my ears, just this loud buzz. And I turn around, the sky's just full and they're pouring out like a waterfall. And I'm like, oh, geez. So then they flew around. And they finally landed on a tree that they always land on. And so I let them settle down for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then went to get them, and they were quite stingy. And but I got them, got her. I don't know why they swarmed, because the box still had plenty of open comb. So I think there might be a queen problem. I don't know. But I did see a virgin in there real quick, shut it up, and then left that alone. So
Right. So did you, I guess, make another hive or another split out of that?
yeah, I put it in a nuke on the other side of the yard, and we'll see. I'll see what happens tomorrow. She's in a queen clip. I did find her, so she's rubber band in there. She's not going anywhere.
Right.
So one of those days. But what was funny was as I was doing that, well, I take it back. As I was like going through some other boxes to make sure there's enough room for everybody, I heard another swarm. I turned around and here comes this swarm just driving by me like it was, they were going by me like nobody's business. And I started watching them while they landed way up in this 50-foot eucalyptus tree. And I said, well, I'm not going to get that one today. And then no more than 10 minutes later, another one from the same side of the farm, but a different direction, went right through the bee yard. And I don't know.
Were they all yours or somebody else's?
Those two that I saw fly by, they came from somewhere else, because the first thing I did was I looked around to see if anybody was acting funny, and nobody was acting funny. So
You mean you didn't do like the Roadrunner and pull out the stop sign?
well, I was thinking, I wish I had a pan and I would have started banging it, because they say that calls a swarm in, but I've never done it.
That's the
Yeah, a lot of people say that it doesn't work, but I've heard the old timers that ringing interrupts their, I don't know, sensory system or some sort.
Yeah,
I think they think it's a storm coming.
No, thank God it's not raining. I think we're going to have 2 weeks of dry weather.
Really? That's
banging
good.
the pan.
I have some mud.
Oh, so it's
Hey, Lisa.
definitely swarm season now. Hey, Bob, before I forget,
You need to put some
last week I
empty
was
hives
talking
out
about
on your
that
stand.
piece of wood I made for incubators. And this is it. So I just took a piece of wood, and so you just stick the hair curlers in there, and then you lay them in the incubator, or set it down in the incubator like that. And the cell cap, or the cups are on top of the hair curler, but that's what I do.
so it just weighs it down.
Yeah, they still get out though. I'll have one that'll push that cap up out of the way, even with the queen cell on it.
Speaking of which, I might have 10 queen taps right now. Let me go check, because today's the day they were supposed to have.
That works good. Just put a little tape over it.
Yeah, I haven't tried that.
I was watching Nathan from Duck River there. He has some test tube holders for his, and that looked pretty nice.
Huh.
And I looked them up tonight before. They're like, it's like $13 for three of the things, and 3 of the trays that'll hold like 21. Hey, Laura. Got tired of Chester, huh? But anyway, they're the ones that I'm looking up. I had to figure out, they're all in millimeters, but the 30 millimeter hole is 1 3/16 inches, which I measured. I got the darn cages out here this evening, and they measure 1 inch. And of course, they got the little tab here and the little thing here. It sticks out a little bit past, but I think the way I watched his video, you kind of turn it. It's a square hole, so you turn it from corner to corner, and it fits right down in there. So.
No, not yet.
Hey Todd, you
No
need to put
takers.
some empty boxes on your stand. Catch those flybys.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hang on one second. Let me step away for a minute. Excuse me.
It'll probably be cells will probably hatch tonight.
So,
Did you just try calling me just now? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot more new.
no, that's about it for here. I've been feeding the nukes. Like I said, I'm just kind of waiting for the weather to warm up and stay warm. And it's like it seems like every weekend the Saturdays are raining, and next week it's the same darn thing. And it's like, we're all really weekend beekeepers,
Right.
if we got a day job.
I am giving a bee class tomorrow. Basic 101. New
Why?
bee. I got about 20 people. So that should be pretty
What are
good.
you going to teach it or what?
Yeah, I'm the teacher.
Okay.
This is my 3rd year doing it.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, I'll be wax dipping a bunch, hundreds of boxes.
It's supposed to rain tonight, midnight to 2 a.m. And then that'll
we're
be
supposed to
it, I
get
think.
storms.
Let me see.
Yeah.
See how many
I
times
see
the-
where what's the Ashby Farms, I think his name is.
Ashby Miller.
Yeah, he's had a ton of swarms. I see, I don't quite understand that. If you are doing that for a living, I would think you would.
But he doesn't. He works a full-time job.
Does he? What's he do for a full-time job,
He didn't say when he was on that live stream with me on Sebastian's channel over there. He
Right.
says he's hoping to get to where he can do it full-time. I mean, I had, well, it's funny. You just brought that up because I had a guy call. Well, he texted me yesterday that my lure didn't work. I'm like, well, I've got people telling me otherwise that I trust more in beekeeping than you, but go ahead. I'm listening, right? This is my mindset. And he says, my bees swarmed and I was spraying your lure on branches and they were just ignoring it. They didn't pay it any attention. And I just envision him running around the yard with a bottle of my lure, just spraying it everywhere, right? And I'm like, well, first of all, if they've already landed 30 feet up in the air, they're not going to just come down to a branch because you sprayed it with something, right? They would still have to send some scouts. And when they get to that branch and they realize it's just a branch, then they're probably not going to come down. So two things. First of all, why did your bees swarm? That's the first thing, right? Did you not know they were swarming? Took them 10 days to cap that cell up. So, that means he hadn't been in it in the last 10 days. First of all, 10 days in the springtime, that's kind of a long time this time down here,
Right.
Hey, Lynn.
So that was the first thing. Second thing is if you were trying to catch a swarm, you should have had emergency trap on your property to try to catch them. So
Swarm trap. Yeah.
I just discount them.
I got 4
I
of
mean,
them on my
it's,
property.
if you're going to catch a swarm, you got to have a box, you got to have some comb in there, and then spray your spray in there, whatever you're using.
Now, I've used
Wild
a lure
stuff.
when they're in mid-flight. When they're actively swarming, you can spray a swarm lure, and they will sometimes break and land on that item, right? But it's not guaranteed.
Right.
I mean, it's not. You're basically, when you're putting out a swarm trap, you're swarm fishing, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, when you go fishing, it's called fishing because you don't always catch. Otherwise, it'd be called catching and not fishing,
Right.
right?
And those bees are going wherever that queen's going.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the. That was the thing. Chris has been killing it down there with my lure in Charleston.
Well, the season's just starting in our area. Just starting.
I've been so busy with work the last couple days. I mean, I've been going through. Yesterday, I was out till dark until they started stinging me. I was in colonies till they started stinging me. Right, checking for queen. So, Charlie, how do you do single swarm management?
Yeah, Charles.
I see. That's the thing with the management that now I'm going to do a little something different this year. Normally I go into those hives and I take about half of the cat brood out and I don't have any swarms.
Yeah.
I manage the population. And it's like with Todd here, and the question is, okay, I got a ton of bees. Todd's watched the video.
Mm-hmm.
And I put, let's say, one more super on than what they already had. I'll probably have to put another one on there as soon as maybe this coming Sunday or something like that. I want to get back out to see how much bee population's in that honey super. And if it's packed out, and I'm putting another one on top of that and all that. But, I mean, that's my plan. And then I will go into the bottom of those brood chambers and I want to see what's happening in there. Whether, if I start to see a swarm cell, then I'm going to have to start pulling brood out of these hives. And I might do that anyway, because I need to make a bunch of nukes.
Bob
as soon as it warms up.
Beanie says on a 10-frame box, you can knock your box down to 6 frames of brood and you will not lose any honey production.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
6 frames of brood or 6 frames of bees?
6 frames of brood frames with bees. So if you got 8 frames in your box, you can take 2 frames out and you will not lose any honey production to keep them from swarming. Or if it has 9 frames.
And that's been my thing. Last year, I didn't lose a swarm in the spring. Mine came in the fall after the honey flow, little small swarms, right? Usually a nuke box or something like that. It wasn't like one of my production colonies.
And I believe it was Russell there. He was the one that said he might have put instead of 2 honey supers on there, he would have put a third one in. And I agree with him on that one hive that I put a video on. And then the last hive that I had, I put 2 on that because of the amount of bees. And my last hive that I did Tuesday night, it had a queen cell in there. And that's the only one out of all 12 of the honey hives that I've got right here that had that. Some of them had cups, but no eggs.
We got everybody fooled. Todd, Tom, and myself are actually all in the same room if you look at the paint on the wall. We're all looking at each other from other directions.
And that's not a blurred background. I'm a single guy now, so that's why there's nothing behind me on the wall. It just seems easier that way for me somehow. I don't know.
Oh no, minimalist.
So give us your opinion, Todd, about all, you work in the bees, like, all that.
Well, I'll tell you what my issue has been the weather, because I couldn't get out to them very often.
Because it's just storming.
Oh yeah. Like I said last week, the mud was like walking on ice, and I had to go downhill to get to them. And it's treacherous. And then the creek was overflowing, so I couldn't even cross the creek. So there was a time where I couldn't get to them. And then, I work Monday through Friday, and thank God the time has changed, because now I can, get out there after work. But I just had no time. I couldn't get to them fast enough. And Apis biologics, it really shot them up into outer space. I mean, they went nuts, and they literally exploded. I mean, I run 8s, and I was just checking a couple of the singles today, and I have 6-7 frames of brood, and I was equalizing with some, but the one box that swarmed, for some reason, like I said earlier, it had room. But even the ones that I stacked as doubles, where I just put a roof higher up above them,
Here,
that has brood 4 or 5 frames of brood. So, out of 16 frames, there's a couple out there that have like 12 frames of brood, and every single one of those colonies got Apis biologics this year. So it just.
Now, did you apply that in the springtime?
I started feeding them early because I was still trying to get in on some contracts for almond pollination, but I didn't make it. But I also fed them pollen substitute, pollen patties recipe that I got off of Cayman's site.
Did you?
I haven't tried the Apis on that yet, but I think I might buy a big bag of that next year. Yeah,
that's the commercial one.
Yeah, I'm telling you that stuff is unreal. That's like TNT. You have to be careful with it.
Well, and on Tuesday night, Charlie was talking about the same thing. He's like, "Man, I've never seen so much brood in my colonies," and I was like, "Well, the only thing, if I'm not mistaken, the only thing you did differently this year was add Apis biologics in the fall when you were feeding them up for winter."
Yeah.
And
I didn't even think about that, and I talked, and I know that I did 80 gallons of Apis biologic, which was 2 tankfuls, and in those top feeders that I use, I usually put 2 gallons in. So those hives got 4 gallons of sugar water that was with Apis biologic in it. So they obviously stored it along with the honey that he had in there from August honey that was coming in. And I presume that they ate on it going through the winter or coming towards this spring. And that's why they exploded. But I have never, ever had the amount of the bees in that third bottom box. Usually it's, there might be a pound of bees in there, and there's no brood or anything in there. And it's just, shake them off, clear them out, and then start putting the brood frames from the other 2 boxes in there, filling that bottom box up, and then put the next box on and doing the same thing. But this year, all of those hives out there, except for one, it was queenless. I have one that's queenless. It's only in 1 medium right now. I got to get out there with a nuke, one of my other weaker nukes, and throw that nuke into that hive. But all the rest of them, they all seem to have, bees from the bottom board to the top.
Right. I want to go back a second. So Morgan at Salty Dog Apiaries, I'm in Central California, basically Fresno. My new problem that I just realized today is when I was going through the farm, the orange trees are set back. The last 5 years, the beginning, what is it? The 31st, April 1st, April 2nd, they were flowering. They're just barely pushing buds right now. So I'm probably, I didn't even anticipate this in my timing, but I'm probably 2 weeks early for the trees. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're 2 weeks early in what way? Or
well, they're gonna, there's sheets of brood in there that will explode, and I'm gonna run out of room in those boxes. And by the time if I split them off or if I somehow equalize them all together, I might be able to make it in 2 weeks. But I'm probably gonna lose some swarms during the week when I'm at work. And then just the field force.
Do you put any insurance colonies out at your apiaries?
No, I don't do that. Kind of
just basically a swarm trap, right?
Yeah,
there.
Yeah. I used to, but there's so many trees out there. They'll just pick a tree. There's 1,000 trees out there, fruit trees.
Right.
So they'll find something. But I found out today that I'm going to be.
Well, there's 2 things I do that I haven't had my bees swarm in 2 years. And some of it, the first thing I do is I run 2 deeps, but I put a screen includer in between them. Yeah. So my first super is a deep.
Mhm.
And I make sure the first time, which is going to be this week, there's only 6 frames of brood in that bottom box. And on the outside, I put 2 empty combs
Yeah.
against the 6 brood frames.
Against the walls. Yeah.
By the middle of April, I'll go back into all the hives again. And if there's 8 frames of brood in there, I'll take 2 out, put it up on the top box. Then between every 2 frames, every 4 frames of brood, I'll put a comb frame in.
Mhm.
So if there's 4 frames of brood, I can put 1 comb frame in. If there's 5 frames of brood, I can only put 1 comb frame in. If there's 6, I can do 2 comb, 2, a comb, and 2.
Mhm.
And that slows them down for another 2 weeks. Then I'll go back and to one more time, and that gets me into May. And then one more time in May, I'll put them back down to 6 frames again and move them back up to the top. And usually by then, that gets me to the middle of May, to the end of May, and swarm season tendencies are over.
Yeah.
And that's what I end up doing.
You got 2 double deeps there like that. So where are
Yes,
they putting all the honey at?
I put supers on top of that. Well, they're putting honey in that too. But if they start filling that up with honey, I'll take the honey out and put the brood in.
See, what I thought about doing was shaking off.
Why don't you do this? I'm sorry. Why don't you put a couple honey supers on top of that first deep box, and then take the deep box, that second one, and put it on top of that, and then move your frames of brood up to the top.
Well, I could do that. Sometimes yeah.
That's called a demaree. That's one of the things I was going to actually.
That's called a lot of work. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
That's what that's called, because you're constantly having to unstack boxes to get back.
Usually I have 1 deep super and 2 medium super honeys. That's 90% of my hives. That's all the honey I'll get.
Do we have a troll
that's
there?
Over 100 pounds of honey. 120 pounds of honey.
Who?
D7 Dan.
No, just
he's
not saying
right
anything
on.
negative.
Some queens will swarm no matter what.
Oh,
Hey, I'll be right back.
I've been lucky too. Now, Todd, what kind of winter do you have over there?
mild.
Mild.
January is the coldest. Well, December, January is the coldest. We'll get a hard freeze around Christmas.
I think
it's more wet than cold here. Although it snowed here once this year already, so that's kind of rare.
So when I hear, like, that's why I was questioning Tom, and I was like, 6 frames of brood or 6 frames of bees?
Yeah.
Because I'll go into a 10 frame. I don't see 6 frames of brood. I might see 4 frames of brood. There's a lot of bees, but only 4 that really have brood on them, because I'll have, like, the outside is honey, and then, there may be a frame they're working on next to it, or pollen, but they really haven't gone all the way out like that. So,
well, if you feed them, they'll go crazy, especially put that apis in there. They'll go nuts.
Yeah, I've been doing that, but I've attributed it, and I could be totally wrong, but I've attributed it to the temperatures changing so much around here that by the time that, like, it was in the 80s, and then it got back in the 40s and 30s, right?
Yeah.
And go out to one colony, and they've already ripped out all the drone brood and dragged it out. It's like, nope, it's getting cold again. You fat fellas got to go. And they ripped them out, right? So the queen will get going for a week, and then it gets cold a week, and then they start tearing those things down again. So I just haven't had that consistent 70 plus that it just stays there, right? Or at night when it stays over 50 degrees. So once that happens, boom. Usually
it should happen
where I'm headed right now. So the next 2 weeks, it's going to be like this.
But then and we talked about this, Charlie. So we were talking bee math, and split,
Yeah.
right? Since and this falls right into what we're talking about. But so I learned my lesson about making weak splits. So people are and you see it all over YouTube. And I'm not saying it don't work, but just listen for a second, right? So you make a weak split. Let's say you make a 1 or 2 frame split, right, in a nuke, and then you're giving them 3 frames so they can grow into. So why wouldn't you make a strong split? Because that queen is only going to lay as much as her bees can cover, right? So if you're making a small split, like let's say a frame of brood, frame of food, then she might be laying a softball sized cluster in there
At most. Yep.
at most, right? So over those, and heaven forbid you just pulled out a frame with a swarm cell on it and dropped in there that was full of bees, because over that period when she's getting mated and everything, you've got bees dropping every day, right? There's bees dying every day. And by the time she comes back from her mating flight, the cluster's small. But guess what? It's still 3 more weeks before her eggs start to hatch out. So now you got this little tiny ball of bees to cover your brood. And so she's only going to lay a little pattern. And then guess what? That's going to hatch out. And then maybe a little bit more and a little bit more. But it just takes a long time. So if you made a stronger split, she comes back and she can lay a bigger pattern and allows you to split that colony again quicker.
Yeah. I do all 4 frames, Bob, just for what exactly you said. Plus, if you want to sell that queen, you can't tell if she's a good laying queen when it's only a tennis ball, softball size. So if you got 4 frames in there, she's going to at least lay 2/3 of a frame up to a full frame. And that way you can see after a week, you say, hey, that's a good laying queen.
What's Mike doing?
Hey, Mike.
Hey guys, Todd, I just looked at your Facebook page. Your post about the weight of beehives. I think that's what it was. I think Loma Vista Bees on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Instagram. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That picture. Yeah.
Todd, the irony of that was I was actually part of observing a research group at the university here about dark matter. And I'm just laughing. I'd actually like to have that done up as a T-shirt. That's wonderful.
I saw that somewhere. I can't remember.
But otherwise, we've got rain here.
I said this last week. I now have a YouTube page, and I have one subscriber, and it's Charlie. And I put out a video last week on that Gus Mitchell that fly back split. And after I watched it, I realized I messed up on a couple of things. First of all, I didn't have to edit it. I just went from beginning to end, but and it was about 10 minutes. But I forgot to say, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And then I even forgot to put some graphics at the end about that too.
Well, now you subs.
Todd, would you do us a favor and put a link up to your YouTube channel?
Now, yeah.
It's just Loma Vista
in the chat. There's no place for me to write in the chat. So
you have to.
I don't know what's that, but it's just
Off
Loma Vista.
off to your right-hand side, I believe it should be.
Yeah, I see all the comments, but I don't see a box for me to.
Here, I think I can share it. Hold on.
But it's Loma Vista on YouTube. The Loma Vista.
Yeah, there's a couple things of Loma Vista. Is it Loma Vista Bees or Honey or?
No, it's the same thing as what's on the screen right here.
Bee Company. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Now you got 2 subscribers.
I'm on my way.
3. Better run.
I didn't try to make a shameless plug, but I thought that was funny. Like,
Oh, sure you didn't.
yeah. Man, I should check the mailbox tomorrow for a check from YouTube. I have 3
There we
people.
go.
Yeah. Good
No,
luck with
yeah.
that, guy.
Even when you get monetized, don't be waiting on no checks. Because
Yeah, I know. That's what I've heard. I just like I like to pass out information. I learned that's how I learned. So
oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a channel. I post about every couple weeks.
Wow. Why didn't it do that? It went into, oh, I know what I did wrong. Otherwise, gentlemen, I just got news here from my cousin that her 6-year-old has had a stroke.
Oh,
Really?
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and they went in and did brain surgery and moved an artery around, but he's still no response on his one side. So for the praying men here, I ask. His name is Joey. So
Will do.
it's kind of shaken up. So I don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight, but Charlie, thank you so much for hosting Friday night here, and it'd be nice.
Thanks. I appreciate everybody coming on. I know that tonight Cayman's on there. I don't know why, but anyway. But
you're competing.
Doesn't he have a wife?
I don't know. You know,
The only thing, I mean, I like listening to Cayman every once in a while on his lives, but he's kind of the crazy Ivan, right? He just kind of, whenever I'm going live, I'm just going live. So,
Right.
which is his thing, good deal, whatever. But
there's some prayers for you there, Mike. There's
Yeah.
Laura. She's a friend of mine. She's up in Pennsylvania, and then Greater Baltimore Beekeepers. That's Lynn. She's part of a group that I'm in, and all. And
We have some great people, Charlie.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic.
and we have Mike.
Well, you had to let me in here because I'm bald.
Oh yeah, man,
I'm getting there.
here.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, but I'm
Now you
getting
can't
close.
tell if I am or
Closer.
not. So
Todd, you still have a handsome set of hair,
There
so
you
just
go.
shut up.
look, man, look.
No, if I
I'm
turned
turning
around, you
loose,
would say
turning
different.
loose.
Okay,
I have
so
my
there we
fire
go.
tuck. Here it
Now
is.
you got Todd. You got 7 subscribers.
There we go.
Oh,
Subscribe
someone
here. So
say number 12.
Oh,
I
I'm
Okay.
just checked
Blinking
mine. I
like
got
crazy.
77 so far.
let me see.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it, but that's really not why I said it.
That's what we
I just
do
wanted
now.
to grow it organically.
Thanks, Robin
anyway.
Hood, for
I didn't
saying
wanna say
prayers
that.
for Mike.
really appreciate everybody there. Thank you so very, very much, all of you. I can't name you all, and they've had a
It'll be
hard
good,
time.
Mike.
It's,
It'll be good.
my cousin
Where's
had
the-
colon cancer, and then their mom died of a stroke from the vaccine. So it's been rough. So
Mhm.
Anyway.
Was he vaccinated?
I don't know that, and I don't know if anybody really wants to talk about it right now. But
Yeah.
honestly, the only people I see getting sick right now of all the keeping friends are the ones that have gotten vaccinated. So it's really it's hard. So, and I can't imagine that Tina would have done that, but I will let everybody know later on. Yeah, Michael, exactly. Never be surprised at what prayer does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
in the meantime, I got to tell you something that Russell told me this morning. Russell Cooperman, he's kind of a jerk. He's a German. He's a Minnesotan, and I think he actually beats trees in his spare time. He won the creamed honey at the thing, and I think he second place in the black label honey. And we still don't know what that honey came from. He saved part of it. We're going to, Russell laugh. But anyways, he brought up something very interesting to me. For as cold as the thing, I think you got to mute your audio there. Anyways, we have some hives that basically the beehives right now are in a lifeboat. I mean, honestly, at this point, they should be bringing pollen and everything else. We still have a hard snowpack here and everything.
Wow.
So what he suggested, or what he said he did, is he went and plugged up the lower entrances, because we all have, like the middle box, and his hives are. You guys would be amazed at how good of a job he does insulating. He does it in a 3-pack, and I got to thinking about that, and I opened up my upper super middle vent holes. I joke about them, calling them the poop holes. And what happens is that when the bees fly out to get pollen and nectar, they almost never use the lower entrances. And I thought, well, I'd be crazy not to right now, because some of those clusters have gotten way down in size. And I need to actually order some aphis there too, Bob. But right now I've got sugar bags on there with a little bit of bleach in the sugar to clean their guts out a bit. So I wanted to give Russell credit for that. And I know people are going to give me grief about that, but they don't need that lower entrance there. There are 2 or 3 hives that are so strong that I left them open. But we don't have any problem with humidity because of the way that we have their upper things. But I just want to share that and give Russell some credit, as much as I don't like him.
Hey, I put in speaking of aphis, guys, I put in an order for the small ones because everybody's buying the small ones.
Oh, no kidding.
However, let me enlighten. I've got plenty of the bigger packs. So the bigger packs, so these are $24.99 a piece. So if you get 2 of them, it's $50, right? That makes 100 gallons. For $59, you can make 265 gallons. So you can make 65 more gallons over a whole nother pack of one of these by getting one of these.
Bobby, please forgive me. What are the 2 prices for packet size?
$59.99 for the 1,000-liter. Does
Thank you.
265 gallons, and $24.99 for the 52-gallon. So I understand it's a convenience thing, but if you got a freezer, once you unzip it, zip it back, throw it in your freezer, and it'll keep the moisture out of it.
Yeah, I got a great freezer here. It's my back deck.
Yeah. This is not like I think Super DFM is like an antimicrobial thing, right?
Yeah, that's more microbial. The aphis is actually more of an enzyme mix, not a mineral mix, an enzyme mix that helps the bees process whatever it is that it's the pollen sub or the sugar.
Yeah, it gives the nutrition that's in the nectar or in the pollen.
A lot easier for them to digest and so on and so forth. But
boxes.
It really, really
yeah, it's a nice box. Charlie, Tom, Todd, what's your weather's there? I think, Charlie, you're having some rain.
Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of wind tonight and tomorrow and rain tomorrow. And then
We
it's
got rain today
supposed
and
to be
tonight.
clear
and
or Sunday, but
we're in that second from the highest. Well, I'm right on the edge of the highest to the second highest tornadoes and storms tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, we got someone else to pray for here. I'm sorry to hear that, but
Well, not
Todd,
yet. Could be fingers crossed.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You do have a trailer that you can go hide under, right?
I got a foundation, a basement.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I joke about tornadoes. I've gone through several myself, and I think Tom
one,
talked.
that's enough.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, goodness me. I apologize. A little black humor there.
Not a problem.
Yeah. We had one go through in my brother's graduation. I go out in the back deck and I'm watching people's house roofs flying overhead. And,
some years ago, I had one skip over my house. Only took off some shingles, but the house is just up in front before me got hit and after me got hit.
no kidding.
Right over a few houses here.
It's funny how they will bounce.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain to people, but they sound exactly like a train.
Yeah.
And nobody gets that. But when you hear one, you will know.
It came in the middle of the night, and my wife we woke up and I said, I think a tornado just went over our house. And Okay, everything looks good. Got the next day and found shingles on the ground. Never heard about the rest of it.
Yeah. So Charlie, what are you going to get for winds there?
Well, they're talking like 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Uh-oh.
Now
And
they did say out west, closer to the mountains, it would be like 60-mile-an-hour.
Really?
Then they
supposed to be
change
50 in the
things
50s.
around, and there's these are gusts, wind gusts and stuff. So I've battened down the hatches this afternoon like I've done before. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Hopefully, I don't know. They said it's going to rain, and I've been watching my radar on my phone, and to me it looks like it's more of a spotty rain than anything else. It's like south of the state, and there's some it isn't like a big slug coming right directly at us.
That's still out in Illinois. The big line. That's what's come through here around 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I see that right now in Illinois, but
I got rain about that
down
time.
in Virginia, it's
It'll hit
kind
you,
of going
Bob.
down around Richmond and
Okay.
North Carolina line, and
Charlie.
so far we're dry.
So Todd gets it first, and we get it later on.
Yeah.
Ours isn't as severe, although I think it was 2 weeks ago we actually had a tornado, not too
Yeah.
far from here, a little small one though. It was more like
Yeah,
a
that's what I
dirt battle
heard.
than a tornado.
Yeah, Dan says that 60-mile plus winds on this side of the mountains and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Russell just posted something here. 2 years ago, my son's new house got hit by a tornado and sent his pontoon with a 150 horsepower motor through his roof.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Whoa.
When I lived in Missouri, I was in the southwest area, south of Springfield, probably an hour east of the Oklahoma border. And they had a big one that ripped through there, and the storms kind of blew a little bit in our direction. The next day I had mail on my fence row from Oklahoma, some little town in Oklahoma.
No kidding. It's
And-
amazing how it'll travel like that.
Yeah, and then there was another time where I could actually see a tornado that was probably about 10 miles away. And all of a sudden it started raining leaves because the tornado will pick up stuff and then it spins around and it finally dropped out over my house or neighborhood. It was
Wow.
crazy.
So, Bob, what do you got for temperatures there?
Oh, it was 81 today,
Ooh.
Okay.
but it was 46 overnight. So there's like a 40-degree temperature swing.
Come here.
So
Wow. Okay.
that's kind of my challenge is all year long is just, well, not all year because it'll get to that spot where it's just hot. It doesn't matter. But right now it's swinging pretty good.
Hey, Mike, those F5 tornadoes have 300-mile-per-hour winds. They'll pick up a car like it's a matchstick car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we'll toss them. We've seen cows go flying.
Yeah.
Not an issue. It's it'll take them there. But yeah, Russell said, "What the heck is 81 Fahrenheit?"
Right. It was nice.
So I want to ask an open question for everybody here, and I've been kind of saving this for tonight. Have any of you ever done a Nosema spore count? Do you have any idea how to do one?
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't know I know how we used to do spore counts in the lab was we had.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then we'd have the little, I probably could have told you if we wouldn't have been talking about it, but the little like Petri dish, right? The Petri dish with the gel in it. And we would take a sample and put it in there and then put it in an incubator and there would be.
Yeah. But I was wondering what type of, what kind of grid system someone would use and what the tint on the spores would be.
I'm pretty, you could probably buy those with the grid on them, right? Then you put them on the microscope and count the number.
Yeah. So the grid count. Okay. What do we got there?
Brad.
Bradley, thank you so very much. I'll have to do that. So I was wondering what the grid size would be and what the tint to use. So, Brad, I will definitely go to Randy Albert. I just call me stupid. I just didn't even think to go there. And thank you very much.
You have a lot of things on your mind, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. But anyways, yeah. So all you guys doing good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Bees
I'm
are
gonna tell
doing
you what.
good.
I'm about to start drinking the Kool-Aid with those polystyrene hives, though. The difference between the polystyrene hive and the wooden hive, as far as the way the queen is working in there, night and day difference. I mean, in that polystyrene, I think because it's so easy for them to manage the temperature, and I'm talking about my area, guys. I'm not negative 18C. Talking about my area with the 40-degree fluctuations. It's easy, so easy for the bees to keep the temperature appropriate in there for the brood that she can just go crazy. And as long as she's got nurse bees to cap it all up, they don't have to sit on the cap brood that much to keep that cap brood warm. Just the ambient temperature in the hive is keeping it warm. So they're able to work more effectively, I guess, in the colony.
Honestly, that's the reason that every single one of my wood boxes are painted with the 3 coats of the insulated paint. I just wouldn't go back. So that's great that you've seen that big of a difference. The only question I got for you about that, Bob, is that how do they look as far as durability? When I say that, I mean pulling the frames out and so on.
Well, as far as durability, the Lyson hive, it has it's almost like a real
Plastic shell.
No, well, there's a plastic shell on the frame rest, like a plastic frame rest guard. So they come off really easy. They won't even propolize it, and they can't get in between the boxes to propolize it. So because there's like this little thin, for lack of a better word, I'm gonna call it like
It's not like styrofoam. It's more of it's kind of like a hard plastic almost. Well, not plastic.
Is it high density styrofoam?
High density.
It's R8.
Yes.
It's an R8 insulated hive. When I take the top off, I can feel the heat coming through the feed at the top.
Oh yeah. But the material that it's made out of, is it high density styrofoam?
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's real hard.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard.
Yeah, we used
to rip it up with the hive tool.
No, see, the boxes don't stick together.
Yeah, but still, you still have
to. The hive tool, where the frame rest is, there's hard plastic, like an ABS plastic in the frame rest.
Yeah. So, okay, that's what I was looking for.
So yeah, that doesn't stick, but
yeah.
I mean, that's
we actually
drafting off of, but I mean,
I beat mice.
She's been pretty active in there.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I got a 6-frame nuke that I was working, experimenting with, and they put a propolis trap. That's your inner cover, you might call it, so they don't put brood or wonky comb up in the dome of the insulated top on that thing, and you just lay that on there and lay it on top, and then they'll propolize that trap and all, and then that thing sits on top of that with your lid, and then you snap it with your locks, adjust it to where it just snaps in.
Yeah, it's like a real thin weather stripping type of material that's in between the boxes. But
I painted my boxes.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Painted.
Yeah, we used to actually make high density styrofoam parts and whatnot.
But that colony was an accident. I didn't. When I say it was an accident, I was trying to make a starter finisher colony, right, with frames of brood and nurse bees, and I accidentally moved a queen over there that wasn't marked. And so I didn't end up using that. But that was the queen that I was wanting to graft off.
We ran into that.
Off the mother colony, right? And
okay.
Back there, the whole thing laid up in the bottom. And even compared to some of my other colonies that have had a queen all winter long and have had the opportunity to build up, didn't build up near as fast as that one did. So, but the price is one of the deciding factors on that. But then you go, well, is it worth it if they build up that much quicker and you have the resources to do what you need to do? Then it might be worth it to switch to some. But then again,
what is the price?
Let's see. Let's go to Better Bee. And I've looked at some other ones. To be honest with you, I like the licensed ones, but I looked at some other ones that maybe stack Langstroth hives on it a little bit better. Hive components and parts here. Beehive kits, polystyrene licensed 10 frame. All right. Excuse me. So if you want a single, just a single with the top and the bottom, unassembled, $114.95.
Okay, how about just a deep super?
Cow.
Deep super with frames, $76.95. So you're getting the deep with 10 plastic frames, or you can pick what frames, but
Okay.
So, but if you think about it, $76.95. If you take the frames, 10 frames, that's $30 easy, right? So, $36. I think you can buy
$40 for the box.
Yeah, so 40
I think
bucks.
my nuke was $90, but that was a 5 over or a 6 over 6 with the the top and bottom and all that stuff. And yes, you do have to put them together. And I do paint mine. I did paint mine.
I painted mine too. So
I used to paint, now I waxed it.
all right,
No,
so the license,
you're not going to do that with installation.
the 6 frame,
That's true.
the 6 frame nuke is
Wouldn't last very long.
$56.95 with the bottom and the top, but that doesn't include the feeder, and that's a single 6 frame box. The extra box is $25. So, it's kind of spendy, but I've looked at some of the other ones to see if that might be an option. And, they're not as thick, so I doubt they have the same R rating, but they will allow you to stack. And you can stack Langstroth boxes on top of that one. They just won't lock in.
Hey, Bob, do you see any signs of them chewing it?
No, I haven't yet. I mean, I've seen them do everything else: draw a comb out, brood the hell out of it, grow like.
I built a swarm trap a couple years ago out of some of that material, and I glued it together. And they ended up, after 2 years, I threw it away because they were just chewing the heck out of it.
Well, this stuff is so hard. I'm gonna go grab.
Yeah, the one I had, maybe there's different levels of hardness.
So
I don't know. I had that nuke of mine, and the main thing I found, like in my did you buy them? Yeah, I bought the 6 frame nuke boxes, Russell, or it was a licensed hive, and it was from Better Bee. And the one thing about it in the wintertime, when you feed them, get them prepped for winter, they don't burn through the feed because they don't have to create that energy to keep themselves warm.
Brad says a wax moth would eat through that.
Yeah, pretty hard. Yeah, I looked at one at the Hive Life. I don't know whose brand it was. And I looked at it and I said, man, this is like the same hardness to the one I made my swarm trap out of it.
Yeah,
Is that a 10 frame box or a 5 frame nuke?
Just the 6 frame.
6 frame.
And it's got, see, that's the little plastic.
There's the edge. Yeah.
Edge in there. And then this edge actually has a little coat on it that that's like not sticky, but there is a little coating on that keeps the boxes from.
So they harden it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But
like you said, they don't don't really stick together. Like they don't propolize them like the wood.
So what's the price difference between that and a license?
That is a license. That one that I just had is a license box. And I've looked at
No. I'm sorry, Apame.
100 Apame for like a nuke is like $300, I think.
Was it really?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's all on about Apame, but honestly, if you want my honest opinion on them, if they're pimping out Apames, they're probably getting either a deal or a rebate or a code to share. I don't know that to be the case, but if I was a betting man, most keepers that are doing it on scale, I couldn't afford to buy 35 Apame hives to sit out in my yard.
Yeah, me
No.
either.
Doesn't I mean some people got it like that. Bob doesn't.
I'm having a hard time just buying one.
A 7-frame nuke, single story, no extra boxes, $210.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Which I guess it does have a divider, so you can make 2-3 frames out of it.
that's
but
the Swiss Army knife of beekeep hives.
yeah,
Too much for my blood.
I don't know. I got a friend of mine. He's got 30 of these license 10 framers.
Wow.
And he's got a Apame that somebody gave to him, I think. And he said he calls it junk compared to his license. But the only downside I found with the license is like when you're using oxalic acid vapor and a ProVap like I'm doing, is if they could, I got to figure out some way to apply that stuff out. I mean, I applied it. I used a little stick. So, what do you call it?
so you wouldn't melt the colony. Be I'd burn the whole colony to the ground using the oxalic acid vaporizer.
Yeah, yeah.
You got two what? You got two Apame or you got two Lyson?
Me?
No, Daisy said I have two. Bees love them. I mean, I don't. My thing is they got the. Now here's the other thing. If you switch to Apame, they don't have any standard sizes either, right? I mean, I think they have a 10 frame, but 7-frame medium super is $100 to go on it.
Wow.
Okay.
So
I'd have to charge $30 for a 1 pound bottle of honey to pay for that stuff.
why doesn't Bob have Apame? That's exactly why. So that's not. Hey, they might be the best thing ever. I don't know, but I'll never have them because I can't afford them. And I'm not Bruce's bees where he's got his whole backyard full of Apame. Maybe someday, but not now. And
Okay.
then who was it? Rick Morse the other day, he's got the Chinese knockoff version, and he said all his bees died over winter in that thing, but it could be a beekeeper error and not a hive error,
Yeah, Mike, that was Lynn. That's her. It's Lynn Ellis.
Thank you so much.
That's Lynn, my friend.
Really, really appreciate that.
There we go. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, Joseph.
Joey, I couldn't find the street sign, but yesterday I did a job at a house that was on Raw Road.
Raw's Country Lane. That's what I'm on.
So you got some kin in South Carolina somewhere.
Probably so. Do they have money?
Well, I'm going to say yes, because even though they were in a double wide, they said that double wide cost them $145,000.
Well, we ain't kin.
Yeah.
If they got money, we ain't kin. I just jumped on here. I wanted to tell Charlie something.
Yeah, go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, that was one of the best looking hives colonies I ever seen on that video the other day.
Well, I'll
That was a
tell you,
good
I'll be
spot.
honest with you. I was surprised the amount of bees in that thing. And that was not only just one. There was multiple hives like that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Those boxes were full of bees.
That was your
they
first
were-
inspection of the year too, right, Charlie?
yeah, that was the
Charlie,
first
that's
time
why
I've ever
storm
busted them
season,
apart.
storm season so early this year. There were some big
Well,
hives. already.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of I had 12 hives that I went through, and 11 of them, I'll say a few of them had cups with no eggs. And then the last hive I did, which was Tuesday evening, um, it had a swarm cell. That was the only one, and all that. And she was a new girl. She was a new queen. She was last year yellow dot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was a new queen from last year because that hive actually made up last year to expand my honey production area.
Do you guys know the color order?
What's that?
Easy way to remember it is remember the phrase, will you make oh gosh. Will you raise what the hell is it now?
Will you
I
raise
said
good
that.
bees, right?
Will you raise good bees? Yeah.
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 Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So W is white,
Yeah.
A is red, and all that. So,
Yeah, Brian.
Charlie, the other thing I want to tell you, I discovered this morning after I did all my splits in this particular yard
Right.
about 2 weeks ago, and I discovered this morning that I accidentally did a single brood chamber management.
oh no.
I don't know how I didn't see it, but I've been walking in that yard every day in 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I just happened to walk by it this morning and I saw the queen excluder still above that bottom chamber. I said, oh my goodness. I bet they're gonna be queen cells everywhere. But I tore it down and went into it, and they had about 6.5, maybe 7 frames of brood in that bottom chamber.
Right.
Had some cups, but didn't have any cells.
Okay. And now,
How
did
they
you
do it?
have what did you have above the queen excluder? What type of another honey super or
well,
just another?
When I go through and make my splits, what I do is I pull 3 frames of brood and 2 foods out of my colonies and put them above a double screen divider board.
Right.
And I'll put in the bottom box at that time, I'll put 4 frames of brood, 2 foods, and fill it on out with empty comb or whatever that I have. And then queen excluder, shook everything down, queen excluder, and then all the remaining will go in the second box, which is mostly just maybe food or empty comb and new frames to
Right.
fill it out. And the third box is my nuke that I pulled out of it with it on top of the divider board. But anyway, I started to leave it alone because it looked good. I got
That's every
scared.
beekeeper. I started not to do this, but I did it anyway.
I got scared, so I went ahead and pulled that excluder out because I don't know. I should have left it alone because everything looked good. I mean, it was tasty.
And how many cap frames of brood you had in there in that bottom box?
I'm going to call it 7. It was actually about 6 3/4, 6.5.
All right, let's say 6 out of the 10, right?
Yeah, right.
6. Well, I mean, in that
I'm
situation,
going to call
if you
it
left,
7. It was almost
Yeah.
7 frames of brood.
well, I mean, you could have took 3 of those frames out and put empties in,
Yeah.
and queen excluder, and then let's say honey supers, if that's ready for your honey supers, and took that and either put it in a weaker hive if you had one, and that she would not swarmed, and she would have made a lot of honey for you too.
Yeah.
On top of that, or put it upstairs. I was telling the Baltimore beekeepers, that was Lynn. I told her today, she was asked me about that stuff over the phone today, and I said, okay, you got a deep box, queen excluder, put a couple honey supers on. She said, well, I've got some that, you know, with some brood in that second deep. I said, well, then put that deep on top of that. And the only thing that I said, then, you know, shake the bees off, or she didn't know where the queen was at. I said, well, then you could put another queen excluder. So you got the honey supers in between two queen excluders where the bees can work it, you know, and do it that way. That's some of the things that I'm going to experiment with this year, and doing brood, moving brood around that way, where you're not really, you're keeping the queen in the bottom box. You're keeping her, that
Right.
bottom box full of brood and eggs and whatever, so they can't put any honey down there except for a little bit of nectar to feed everybody. And then you manipulate them to push that honey up into those honey supers. And then there's enough bees going up to the next, say, that top brood box, keeping that brood warm, and then they just hatch out, and you just keep building that hive, getting bigger and bigger. And that, but also it gives you an option if you find a hive 3 or 4 hives down the row and needs brood. Well, you already know that you can go in any of these top, you know, into a top box that you have a brood chamber on top and pull the brood out, and with bees, you know, there's no queen there. It gives you options that way. That's some things that I'm going to experiment with, you know, as soon as the weather gets halfway decent.
Yeah, I started to leave it like that, but I've always had a habit of doing everything in threes.
Mm-hmm.
When I try a new trick, I try to do it 3 years to make sure it really works. I try to do it in 3 hives at least to make sure it really works.
Mm-hmm.
I even try that with my wife sometimes, but get in trouble.
You skip 3 anniversaries and 3 birthdays.
Yeah,
and 3
no,
Christmases.
no, that don't happen. Yeah, 46 years and I ain't never forgot one yet. So,
There you go.
but anyway, I just wanted to jump on here and tell you that colony looks so good.
Well, that's good. I mean, we always like, you know, I know you have a lot of hives, and, you know, both Long Lang and also, you know, Langstroth, and it's always good to get, you know, other input that, you know, that we don't know, you know. There's always something that somebody does that's a little bit different that maybe will make somebody else's life a little bit better. It's like I was telling Bob here in the beginning, I was watching Nathan of Duck River, and he happened to have these test tube holders. They're and I found them on Amazon, where he said they were on Amazon. I believe they're the 30 millimeter size holes, which are about 1 3/16 inches, and that'll fit one of these hair roller cages really nice. So that would be a quick and easy way of, you know, put your hair roller cage right in those pigeonholes, and you've got a nice block of these standing up there, so you can let them queens hatch in your incubator instead of having to drill holes in a wooden block and all that stuff. These
No kidding.
Yeah. And it was like you get 3, let's see, what is it? 3, 6, I think it's 7 holes in each block. So there's 3 blocks. I think there's a total of 21. You can put 21 cell rollers in there, hair rollers in there, and they're made out of plastic, and they look really nice. You know, it was like $13, something like that, real cheap.
Yeah, good deal.
So I'm gonna, I actually left a comment in there to see whether that was. I found the ones that I found on the Amazon. I said, "Is this the ones that you had or bought?" So that worked out well. I mean, it's just little things like that. You know, it makes, you know, if you got
It's
a chicken,
easier, right?
yeah, chicken incubator, you know, that makes, you know, putting your queen cells in there a whole lot easier, and everything and all. And then like that's the one thing I'm going to do also is I'm going to hatch virgins out in the queen incubator this year compared to the cells.
Okay.
Well, Joseph, this year I'm doing something quite different. I'm setting up 4, 3, 6 frame single chamber hives with only 6 frames in them.
6 frames.
Yeah. So I have three 6 frames squished together, 2 queen excluders, and then 2 deeps on top of that.
Really?
Oh yeah, you're gonna do a three-way pallet
I'm
situation,
doing a three-way
like
pallet.
Brad and James
Okay,
does.
I think I seen y'all talking about that one time.
Yeah, James does that,
I
and
think
Brad up in Canada,
yeah, you had a picture of
and
that last
Ian.
week, what didn't you, Tom?
So I'll be wax tipping all those boxes tomorrow or
Yeah.
Sunday.
But you had a picture of that system that you were building. At least I seen it. Either was on your website or you brought it up on
Yeah, Facebook. I
chat
think
here.
I put it on or Instagram. One of them.
You see what Philip said? Joey, that's not what the Commodores meant in Three Times a Lady.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, I do. One more thing I'm going to show you before I go. I just got an envelope today, and I was wondering what in the world it was. But me and my wife, we go to schools every year and show the kids, the second graders, the bees, and they do like a pollination or insects and pollination class in the curriculum every year.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I take my observation hive and we talk about the bees and what they do and everything. I just got a whole packet of letters from all the kids thanking us for coming.
No kidding.
That was the best pay I could ever get for doing that.
Absolutely.
That was great. I'm gonna have to hang
good
those
for
in
you.
my honey house somewhere.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I'll be doing a little
Every one of them's
presentation
handwritten, pictures
sometime
drawn.
in May.
Yeah. Yeah, let
Nice.
me bring that up. Let me bring it.
Yeah, hold this back up, Joseph.
It's just two of them. I just picked the two top ones up.
Oh,
you go.
wonderful.
Cute.
They even wrote a letter inside. Let's see. Here we go.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that I got one like that the first time I did one for kids too. That's cool, isn't it?
I thought that was great. And we even took honey this year and let them taste the honey and everything. And
do you take a observation hive?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I have one that I built, and I pull the queen and the frame she's on up to the top.
Yeah.
Just done the last class today. We did 3 this year. We usually do about 3 every year, and we finished up. So
And-
My wife's a 4th grade teacher, and she told me just the other day that she's going to have me bring my observation hive in to the school. So I don't know when.
yeah,
That's wonderful.
I did Ian Stepler's waggle dance thing where you get like some Starburst or Skittles and let the kids go crazy because they do it in the cafeteria for all the 3rd or 4th grade.
Right.
Wonderful.
So they really enjoyed that.
It's kind of fun. I even have the gag box. If you ever watched Jeff Harchoff and his Snakes in the Box.
Oh yeah.
I've got one of those, so we do that at the end of every class. We asked all the brave kids to come up front.
Oh yeah, I know what you're about. Yeah. The spring snakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Hey Charlie,
Yeah.
for tonight, I'm going to give your viewers 10% off on the website on that big packet of control. So it's like $6 off. But if they use code Charlie10 at checkout
All right.
on that big.
You're talking about the
Avis.
commercial size Avis?
No, the 1,000.
Oh, the one that I bought.
The 1,000 liter.
Yeah, the 260 gallon.
So instead of being $9 for 3 packs, basically difference, it's only going to be about $3 difference for the bigger pack because I only have 4 of the other packs, so I've got a lot of things.
So, Tim, what are you up to?
Hey, Tim.
I got to go. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Enjoy.
Take care.
Good night, brother.
Bye-bye.
I'm still going to have it on. I'm listening to y'all, but I'm busy doing other things too.
Yeah, I got to run here in a minute, too.
Trying to get my taxes ready.
Congratulations on the letters.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
We'll see y'all later.
See you, Joseph.
See ya.
Take care. So, Tim, what are you up to?
we trying to work on our single brood chamber management. We can get these rascals to ever draw out good. We on the last one we had talked about putting that medium on that bottom. Well, it got a little too antsy, so I threw a medium on top too because they seem like they want to keep going up instead of going down right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
when they,
Tim, didn't you say you had, what was it, a deep on the bottom, and then, well, first you had a medium and a deep, and now you're switching it around?
when we come out of the winter with the two,
Yeah.
we're gonna do the brood frames with. They come out of winter in a 10 frame deep.
Okay.
About mid-February or so, we added the one medium
Right.
up underneath that.
And that was, and was that with drawn comb or what?
We put 3 frames of drone comb in there from last
Right.
year where we had put it on for a honey super. And she had went down, laid every bit of that up, then just went right back upstairs. And they haven't really drawn that out yet. So we just kind of waiting on the big flow to kick in when they start
Have you
drawing
been
out.
feeding them any thin sugar water at all?
To be honest, no, sir. We haven't fed since probably February.
I would say, you know, like you say, put that medium up on top, and then I would put a quart jar on that. If you got an inner cover, put a quart jar over top of the hole and feed them like a 1-to-1, or maybe a little thinner than 1-to-1. When you say, Todd,
Yeah.
and then that'll give them the energy to make the wax and build those frames out for you. And
Okay.
everything.
I
I
had
don't,
rogue-
you know, when you're putting a quart jar on there like that, you gotta, it's something that I picked up from Michael Palmer up in Vermont. And he said, if you meter the fluid out or the food out, the sugar water at a slow rate, they don't really store it too much. They will consume it, use it to raise brood, and it'll stimulate them, to make, it'll give them the energy to make wax. And,
Yeah,
and
trickle feed them.
now you got the 3 frames up there with brood in there already, or at least the eggs, and they're going to. I would say you are going to entice them. Say, hey, we need more room for more eggs, and they would draw that out. I would think.
Yeah, there's a
But
good
I think
chance
you're
the
definitely
new
going to have
bees
to
will
feed
stay
them,
up there too.
huh?
New hatch bees will stay up in the top
Yeah.
box. And 12
Yeah.
days later, they'll start putting that wax in.
You need a good population of young bees.
Yeah, the young bees are going to be your wax bees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 weeks old or young.
12-day-olds.
Yeah, 12 days.
Every- Everybody's I'm talking about they're laying them up slabs between the colonies. It's just they're starting to draw out good. We're getting a lot of burr comb and bridge comb and things like that. And there's been several places where, they've already capped off honey in some of it. But I guess they really haven't took to the newly waxed foundation yet. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Tim, how old is that newly waxed foundation? I mean, did you just get it?
We done that late February, early March. We re-waxed everything to try to get ahead.
Well, don't be afraid to pull those frames out and hit them with a hairdryer.
Okay.
It refreshes the scent, even if you have something that's you'd be amazed at the difference that will make. You just take your hairdryer, and Bob was making jokes, where did I get a hairdryer from? But if you hit it with the hairdryer, it freshens that outer layer of the wax, and you will smell the difference. It's an incredible, and it's the best. If you have bees that are not drawing comb on foundation, that's the number one thing I can tell you. So I've been meaning to actually share that with you for a while, because I've seen some of your wonky comb, and it's amazing what kind of difference it makes. So for what it's worth.
Now we took and checkerboarded a couple deep frames in some of the other colonies. And
anyways,
we kind of
gentlemen, everybody, I'm going to take off here. So, and right when Matt comes on, okay, I know I definitely got to run. Another good Minnesota boy. So, Okay, guys. Well, God bless and thanks for the prayers, and y'all have a good week. Look
All
forward
right.
to seeing y'all
keep
soon.
keep
See
our
you, man.
prayers.
All right, man.
Thank
Take it
you
easy.
so very, very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye bye.
All right.
You know, another thing is well, first of all, if you have any type of flow, you don't want to give them sugar water unless you're not going to make, you're just collecting honey frames for splits. But what I did last year, and it was in August, it was late, is I did 1.3 water to 1.31 to 1 sugar or water to sugar. And man, they drew it out like crazy.
All right. Now I'm not much on my calculations. Can you give me like, all right, how many
Yeah, let me get on
Basically 0.75 to 1, like 3/4 to 1, right?
that.
Maybe
It's
a little.
water, heavier on the water, so it's a real thin
Yeah.
syrup. So what was it?
if you had a
for every
if you have a
pound
10-pound
sugar,
bag of sugar,
for
10
every
pound
pound of
bag,
sugar, it's basically it's about 11 pounds or about 11 pounds of water, I think, something like that.
how many? What is
Or
it?
excuse me, I've been up since 4:30. I'm tired. Anyway, it's a 1.3 water to 1 part sugar ratio. Oh, hang on. I have the calculation on a photo. But it works out great. They think it's nectar and they just start going to town, but it has to be a strong hive.
Yeah.
Now we got some of our deeps on the other colonies. We kind of checkerboarded a few of them because we ain't long went and bought a bunch of framing foundation, and that was part of the new waxing. And in the other colonies, they're starting to draw them deeps out pretty good, I'd say. But we're gonna try to get back in them tomorrow. It'll be a week since we've been in that particular bunch, and see if they're starting to draw, those medium frames out a little bit more now. If not, then we'll get on that feed a little bit, see if they'll take it and entice them to get up and go.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to do it, but if you have a strong colony with a lot of young bees, they'll get to it. They'll get.
And then the other thing is, if you have one strong colony that's doing it, you can let them start drawing it out, then move that to your other colony, and just keep feeding the one that's building them and moving them to the other colonies.
Yeah, and that's what I do usually. Take advantage of it while you can.
Everybody's strong. I just think we ain't hit that full throttle level yet, because in past years, it's hard to keep up with them, to be honest with you. When they start going with it, brother, you'll be honey bound in a heartbeat around here.
Yeah, I believe it.
Gentlemen, I think I'm going to bow out too. I got a busy weekend.
Well,
Now, Jeff there,
Build a
Jeff
deck.
says 10 pounds of sugar and a gallon and a half of water.
So everybody be good.
Is that about right? See
Hey,
you later,
Tom.
Mikey. Tom.
See you.
Yeah, that's about right.
Is that right? About right, Tom?
What's that?
That's what makes sense to me when you say gallons and the ratios.
A
but,
gallon of water is 8 pounds,
8
right?
pounds. Yeah.
So 10 pounds of sugar. If you put 1 gallon in it, then it's too strong.
I should have said 1 part sugar to 1.3 parts water. That's what it is.
yeah, but what's 1.3 parts of a water? Is that a gallon of water?
Well, a gallon of, a third of a gallon is roughly what?
6 pounds. Oh, a third?
What you're doing is you're
3
taking the water
pounds.
part, you actually convert to pounds. That's how you.
This is one of those.
I'm no
This
math
is one of
person.
those rabbit holes.
I don't know. All
Some
I
guys
can tell
go with
you.
weight. Some guys go with volume. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, see, I go by, I guess it's volume. Hey, Mark,
You know what
I
I
can't
do?
wait.
What
How
I
y'all
do
doing?
is I do
Pour
is this.
half
I
on
already
one side and half
calculated it
another and
out
fill it
that
up with water.
I calculate out that for every 10 pounds of sugar, I put 3 quarts of water in, and it comes out to where it's like a 2-to-1. And then, or if I want 1-to-1, it's like for every 10 pounds, it's about 5 quarts of water. Then it makes it thin. So
I have my recipe
Where's
somewhere.
Flower
I
Street?
can
That's one of them teacher questions.
what's that, Tim?
I said, "Where's Flower Street at?" That's one of them teacher questions.
Oh,
Right.
he was there. He was Brian. He's the educator here.
4 gallons of water to 25 pounds of sugar.
That's about right.
So yeah, it's 32 pounds of water or 32 pounds or so of water, probably 33.
Well, yeah, that's about right. 4 gallons, because 3 gallons of water to 25 pounds is 1-to-1. So you add another 25% in there. You're about right. So there you go, Charlie. 25 pounds of sugar, 4 gallons of water.
All right, that's more like it.
But that's what I do for comb building. But I have to find the right hive too, or hives.
What are you doing, Mark?
I am embedding wire into wax.
You actually do that, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of it's rework frames, you know, that I boiled and got all the old stuff off of and put some new wax in them. Yeah, just making sure. I've already rolled them once, but it was cold and it tends to snap back out. So I want to make sure it's perfect before I put it out there.
So, are you making your own wax sheets then?
No, I don't go that far.
So you don't buy pre-wired wax sheets, huh?
Yeah, it's
Okay, so you're taking pre-wired wax sheets and then embedding support wire across.
yeah, it's just sport wire. All it is. Just kind of going through some I did when it was cold and they've kind of popped out, you know.
Right. Do you know if anybody really uses shallow supers anymore? No. There's a guy across the road from me. His father passed away, and then his mother finally passed away. And then his father was heavily into beekeeping years ago, and he had a bunch of shallow supers and shallow frames and stuff that hasn't been put together yet, and some deep material, deep frames. And then he had a slew of Kelly wax, I think, where it wasn't wired. I think he was really into comb honey or something, or maybe he was wiring it into the frames. Maybe that's back in the day, you know. And there's sheets and sheets of wax, but you know, it's like, man, this stuff is, of course, it's cold, you know, it's brittle and all that. So he was going to try to sell a lot of that stuff. And I just said, you know, I don't know. I asked a friend of mine who's been at it for quite a long time. And he said the wax is so old, it's turning color. It didn't, you kind of, you know, your wax that you showed there was white looking. Right. His was more of a yellow, you know, darker wax. And it's just, I guess it's getting old. I guess the best thing you do is melt. It's dry. You might as well melt it down and reuse it, you know?
Yeah.
But the only thing he had some display, you know, honey display for like a, you know, taking honey to the fair, display units.
That'd been nice to have.
And he had he had some queen excluders, and he had some inner covers and some lids, and he had this thing. He had an old antique four frame honey, you know, heavy duty, probably from either Dadan or the other one, out Kelly out there, where 4-frame spinner extractor. Then he had this thing. It was kind of a fold-up table thing, and you put water in it, and then it had an immersion heater, and it's like where you undid all your uncappings, but it melted the wax and the honey, and it went into some kind of a bucket. It kind of reminded me of the bucket used to be in the milk dairies. That the top of the bucket had like a little bit of a lid to it, and
It didn't melt it into the honey, did it?
yeah, I think it did. It must have. I don't know whether the wax melted it on top of the honey. I don't think the son really knew, but it was antique. I'll have to say that much.
Yeah.
But
Back in the day.
back in the day, it was, I guess, a big thing. Then he had several of those bottling tanks that are stainless, that might hold a couple 100 pounds. One was, they were all from Date Ant. One had a plastic gate, and the other two had, I'll say, steel or aluminum gates. They weren't really. They were just like a regular, regular gate with just a slide like that, and it had a rubber gasket behind it or something. But I got to looking at them, and I'm like, what do you do with them? I mean, they're not heated. I mean, if you got honey that's going to crystallize on you, how are you going to warm it up? Unless you go put it back in a bucket and put it in some kind of a water bath. I mean, once I got my water jacketed bottling tank, I was like, man, this is wonderful. You just put your honey in there, set the heat right, and it flows good whenever you need it, and keeps it at a certain temperature, just not too hot.
Makes life easy.
Makes life easier. Makes my back a lot easier, that's for sure.
Well, I had a good day today. I sold 50 gallons of honey today.
Nice.
50
Man.
gallons?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
I heard that.
I sold it to my neighbor.
Wow.
What's the
Mead? It's got to be mead, right? 50 gallons? It's got to be.
That's going to leave me about 25 gallons to get through the rest of the year. I hope I make it.
50 gallons.
Yeah, the shallow side Gorilla's saying about using it for chunk honey and combed honey. Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna try. I bought a couple sets of supers for the Ross rounds. I'm gonna try that this year, see whether that works for me.
I forgot. I still got my Ross round killer frame from Saracell that I got to get set up and try to drop that in something. The little Ross round frame that takes 2 of the Ross rounds and puts them in a deep.
Yeah, I've never tried them. Have you done them, Charlie?
No, I've never have. I'm something like a friend of mine up the road. He said, good luck. But then I had another friend that sells Ross rounds, where, he wholesales his honey to this peach orchard, I guess it is, next door. And he said they sell like hotcakes, as far as combed honey goes.
I have several people asked about comb honey, but
yeah,
sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't have it,
Yeah.
Have you guys ever tried making having the bees draw the comb in the jars? You invert the jars on a hive, and
I've never done that.
I haven't done it either.
I think it would be cool to watch, though.
I've seen it at a farmer's market. It looks really neat. I mean, it's a big chunk of comb in there attached to the bottom of the jar, and people are asking, how did they get that in there?
Magic.
But the guy was selling them for $30, and he was running out
For a pint?
for a quart jar, $30, and it was drawn out comb, capped with honey, or the honey was capped. Then he filled it up with a little bit of his own honey, and that was that.
I'm having trouble right now finding quart jars, the smooth ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I found some pints. Got them from Walmart. They just come in today. But I
Golden
can't find
Harvest.
no quart. Yeah, but can you get them? How much?
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know. They've got all the.
They want $50 by the time you pay shipping for 24 of them. That's $2 a piece. Nah, I don't think so.
And sugar's gone up too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys will take they'll do comb honey and they'll cut out the 1 pound or whatever, the square or the rectangular square, and they might have a strip, like especially if it's a medium frame, and they'll throw that strip in that jar and then they'll pour it full of honey, and people go crazy about that choke
Yeah.
honey. They think the honey comes out of that comb, but it's like no.
It
That's
does
what they
when you
will. That's
cut it.
huh?
It does when you cut it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
I think comb honey looks good in a good clear honey. The more amber it is, it don't really look that good to me.
I don't know. I don't see what the appeal is myself, but
Yeah, I don't eat it.
16 something dollars for a 25-pound bag at Walmart now for sugar.
Yeah, I just bought 200 pounds.
How many bags go on a pallet? That what they get?
I would say probably
50 bags. I
10,
believe.
10 I imagine, to a layer. Probably 10 layers of 100, I imagine. Something like that.
No, it's 25-pound bag. You got, let's see.
They're little bags, though, so you can get at least 7.
Usually
I would
it's
say,
5 bags to a layer, but that's 50-pound bags.
right. They're 25 pounds. So I imagine 10 to layer, 10 layers high.
Wow. So what's
Yeah,
that?
if you got
350
some commercial
pounds?
2,500 pounds, right?
Oh, 2,500. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing too good on the math.
That's just my best guess. I've never bought it like it, so I wouldn't know. But I walk
Usually
by it
they
every
stack-
day in a grocery store.
Usually a layer is 3 bags across side by side and then 2 bags this way. So it's usually 5 to a layer, but that's every time I buy bags like that, it's usually 50 pounds. I buy it from the restaurant stores.
Yeah.
Not a while back, it was 13 something a bag, and I thought, man, this is getting expensive. And now I'm thinking, well, shit, $3 more. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I might as well bite the bullet and just start stocking it up in my garage or something.
I'd like to feed some of that good stuff like Greg does, but man, then you got to get everything together to use it.
Just
I don't know.
Feed the stuff that I feed.
I can't get it, Bob.
You don't have a sugar plant near you?
There's one like Memphis, but that's 110 miles away.
Yeah.
Well, I'm driving that far. I mean, an hour and a half each way. But if you're getting it for $1 a gallon, it's still cheaper than the gas is cheaper than the sugar.
I doubt it's that cheap. Unless they just swept it off the floor, I might could get that in drums.
Well,
have to make it up
what
myself.
I'm buying is when they send the tankers out with the sucrose in it, and they come back, they've got sugar in the bottom. They still have the sucrose, so they pump it out back into the tank, and that's what I'm getting. I'm getting the liquid syrup right out of the tank,
Right.
and it cost me $10 a 5-gallon pail of 2-to-1, and then I take it, split it in half, fill it up. Now I got 10 gallons of 1-to-1 out of for $10.
Yep. If I could get it that cheap, I'd be getting it.
So how much was that stuff? How much was your bag of sugar, Todd? $18?
I think it was $16.78. I think I can't find it online right now. I don't know. The 25-pound bag is not in the store. Oh, I know why. But yeah, I think it was $16.78. It was like 73 cents a pound or something like that.
Yeah, that's a little. Yeah, last time I bought it was like 60-something cents.
Let me see. Let me get the right store because that store doesn't have 25-pound bags.
Yeah, Steve there says that Ashby Bees had a video. It was 100 bags on a pallet. Had to be 2,500 pounds.
And the dumb part is, Ashby Bees is the same distance away from it. That Domino sugar plant is in his state. It's just as far for him as it is for me.
He could have got the liquid.
Yep, and that's what I've been trying to get him to get.
$16.57 for a 25-pound bag,
which makes 1 5-gallon pail, right?
or
Yeah.
1 to 1.
What's that?
It makes
Cousin
1
Ashby.
5-gallon one 5-gallon pail of 1 to 1, basically.
Yeah.
So
Gentlemen, it's worth a shot. Go ahead, Bob.
no, I was just about to say that if you could just look, man, because it $6 a bucket difference in price.
I'm pretty close to getting a tote. And
I'd like to get some of that pro syrup they're using, though. They tell me they don't have robbing problems or nothing else with that stuff.
Now I've used it, and the bees can't smell it.
Yeah.
It is thick. The biggest problem I find with it is thick. You got to have a gear pump of some sort to really pump it if you're doing a lot of pumping. I've used it to where I've filled some. I used it in like my queen rearing apiary, where I've got them on a little pint jar of it on top of my 2-frame mating boxes, and feed them there with that. But other than that, I used it 1 year in feeding all my hives, and of course I had to go back to 5-gallon buckets and lift them suckers up and pour into the top hive feeders. Like, nah, I'm done this. I like my 40-gallon tank with a pump on it, and it's 2 to 1, or it's a little bit lighter than 2 to 1. Pump all that. I can pump 40 gallons off in about an hour or so of going to all the different hives and stuff. That's the way to go.
No, Michael, it don't spoil. It won't
Hey.
spoil until after you mix it.
You feed your nukes with jars, Charlie.
Do
Your
what?
little ones. Your little nukes. Do you feed them with jar feeders?
Yeah, the nooks. Yeah, I feed my 5. I have top hive feeders in the fall. When I get ready for them for the winter, I put top hive feeder on all of my hives, my nukes, 5-frame nukes, and my 10-framers. 10-framers, I have those Man Lake 4-gallon feeders, but the way I don't have a big enough tank for the volume of feed that's needed. So what I do is on the Man Lake ones, I fill half that. I put about 2 gallons on one side. And then that way I have enough feed for all the hives in one, and I pretty much empty the tank and everything. Yeah. And then as far as my 5-frame nukes, over the years, I bought the licensed 5-frame feeders, which work, like when I bought that there poly nuke, it was perfect. That's what it was designed for and everything. And they work well, for the most part. I have not found any other feeder out there that really fits well on the 5-framers. If I'm looking at volume, like now the poly nuke or the licensed 5-framers, they hold about 3 quarts of sugar water and all, and they've been working well. Just like everything else, you buy into that product, and once you get it, and you got so many of them for everybody.
Yeah, I still use baggies.
You're not going to go back and spend more money and switch over to something else.
Yeah. I like using baggies with the shim, because usually I already have the shim on there. Just drop a bag on it, done. But you got to handle them bags, and you got to fill the bags up. It's kind of
I mean, I'm looking at volume, and I want them to pour. I want them, some of the, like some of the guys talk about this, what's going to spoil, and I'm like, 3 quarts of sugar water, it's gone in 6 hours less.
Yeah, it don't take long.
Especially when you first put that sugar water on, I've seen where I've filled some of the Man Lake 4-gallon jobs up, and they are gone in a day, and by 1 or 2 days later, that first time you put it on there, it's sucked down in there something big time.
Yeah, I'm enjoying these 2-frame internal frame feeders. I like them. They're handy.
Yeah, I always looked at them, and they take the space up of a frame, and
2 frames. Mine do. They're 2 gallon.
2 frames, you've lost 2 frames. And
they do good in 8-frame.
And all that. So, I've thought about like using this here Lyson hive as my cell builder. And I'll get a 1-frame frame feeder and put Apis biologic in there, and then put some. I've got some of the 10 pounds of what's it called, the global patties with Apis in there, and see if that won't really start up the royal jelly in them cups and stuff and all that. We'll see what happens, along with the insulation factor.
Yeah.
Keep them warm and all that.
Hey, on that sugar,
huh?
it'll say on that sugar, I know for us, a couple of the commercial guys down here, they get them huge bags of them, I guess a ton or something. It
Right.
comes
Oh,
on
the
a
big
tractor
totes.
trailer.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of them guys are generous enough. They'll sell you sugar out of them bags. I mean, I don't know if y'all have any guys around y'all to where you could do
No.
that, but maybe an avenue.
But you're talking about what in them big bags where it's just a bulk load inside, I guess.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's on a pallet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big, huge square bag.
I had a guy give me one of them, and he got it from someplace. I don't know what it was. I tried to cook it years ago, and the stuff was like brown looking. I'm like, I don't think this is going to be good, because I know
Not
brown
bleached.
sugar. Huh?
It's not bleached.
Is that
It's
what
just
it is?
natural sugar, yeah.
Well, that might not be good for the bees. But then I kept it in the barn, and one day my brother, he got tired of looking at it. He took it around back where that truck is there, and they stuck it there. And my nukes were making honey and pulling wax out and everything. And then finally I walked around there. That was before I put all them 10 framers down there. And I said, well, no wonder. They were, it was bee heaven. They were in there. It rained on it, loosened it up a little bit, and they were just eating the pile out, eating it up good. It was open feeding everybody.
Yeah.
It's a buffet.
Oh yeah, the buffet. They had, bald face hornets and everything else.
Yeah. Hush.
There ain't much out there for them to feed on over here right now. Just as quick as it pops up, we have a storm or some rain or wind 50 mile an hour.
Yeah.
It's starting to pop on now, and the wind's just a whooping out there.
Yep. It just, so anyway, that's what happened there that time. And, but I like the bags. I mean, I've got it set up to where I know I need to put in 250 pounds plus 20 grams of water, and gives me my 2-to-1, or at least that's what I call 2-to-1. It's not quite 2-to-1 because my little diaphragm pump won't pump true 2-to-1. And
I'll tell you something I done, Charlie. I was going to make bell builder, right? And this hive was loaded full of bees. It was getting ready to swarm. So I wanted to find the queen, right? So I thought I'd just lay me a queen excluder down and shake her through the queen excluder.
right.
The easy
I've
way.
done that.
And man, there were so many drones in that hive that they clogged that queen excluder up, and there was 2 inches of bees trying to get through, and the drones had it all clogged up. I never seen like the drones in my life.
Hale's 2-timing. He's got me in one ear and Cayman in the other.
I'm doing the same thing. I got you guys on this screen, and on that screen, I'm watching the women's Final Four because South Carolina's in the Final Four. They're losing to Iowa right now, but they're in it.
Is that basketball?
Yeah, basketball.
Well, I think I'm gonna step away. I've been up for quite a while, so I'm gonna eat some
it's
dinner.
what 8? It's about 7 o'clock your time.
Yeah, but I was up at 4:30 this morning, so I'm kind of wiped out.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
But everybody have a good evening and a good weekend.
All right, Todd.
All right.
You as well.
Take care, buddy.
And I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, later.
All right, we'll see you, Todd.
Well, I talked to James today. I don't want to spoil his video, but he did move his bees out of the building. So he was all happy and giddy like a little school kid today. And he packed up his thermos and went out to the bee yard. he said he's ready to watch the poop show, but he didn't call it so nice, you know.
Yeah.
So he's excited about it.
What kind of temperatures he got up there? You know.
He said it's still a little bit cool, but it's supposed to get in the double digits for him this week. So he's getting prepared. He said they were flying though. Some were flying. So he
Must warm up quick when it does.
Yeah, it's gonna really come on. I thought he was be popping in. He's probably still building his 1,500 frames he had left to build.
I imagine.
So he's got a lot to do still left too. I'm as big as he's trying to get that he's doing it solo. Well, I mean he's got help sometimes, right? But
yeah,
it's still a lot of work, even if you got extra people. You know, it's a lot.
Does he work a job too?
Oh yeah. He's like a supervisor at International Paper in Canada, so he's busy all the time.
Yeah, because he told me, he's up at like, I don't know, 4 a.m. or something like that. They're on the job at 6 or something, 5 or 6. And then they seem like they must work 10-hour days or something like that up there.
I'm sure 10 or 12's probably.
Yeah.
He stays busy then.
He's doing all that, and then he's working, his bee job, sidelining and doing all that other stuff. And I don't know how the guy keeps enough energy to do all that.
double from Arby's. If he's listening, he's probably listening. He's probably laughing because I poked fun at him because he was going through the drive-thru and he called me and I heard him order a double number 1. Right, I didn't know where he was. A double number 1 and a Coke Zero. I said, either you really like the Diet Coke, I said, but it seemed like a contradiction that you're getting a double on the sandwich side, saving the calories on the soda side. So he said, "This is Arby's. It's just all beef." I'm like, okay, well that makes it okay.
So.
All right.
So Tim, what is the weather warmer down your way? You're in what? As far as what's the
we down here. Yeah, we down here close to Mobile, and
you're what 80 degrees or something.
These last couple of weeks, that last cool front to come through, I think weekend before last is probably the end of it. So we've been topping out the 80s and 60s, maybe high 50s at night, but it's been
that's
getting
nice.
out of the weather now.
That's nice weather and all that.
All right, South Carolina's coming back, 24-21. Let's go, girls. Well,
you're Alabama, Tim. I thought you were in Texas.
No, we just outside of Mobile. We're about 30 miles north of Mobile.
Who do we got here? There's Doug up in Canada there.
How you doing, Doug?
Can you hear me? Getting by, are you?
Yep.
You're still snowed in, I guess, aren't you?
Yeah.
Have you brought any? I guess the hives are not out of the shed. Or no, you put them outside, don't you?
Yeah, they're outside.
Now, do you wrap them? Try to keep them warm?
I'm echoing here.
All right, go to your StreamYard and turn the volume off. Not the StreamYard, but your the YouTube. Turn that volume off. Now is it echoing? Can you hear me?
He turned it off. Turned the volume down.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got, do you wrap your hives? Can you hear me? We good?
We can't get this.
You got the StreamYard, which is, okay, he's out. He's disconnected.
Uh-oh.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. Yeah.
He's up Ontario or someplace like that.
Well, gentlemen, I got a little question. We're kind of talking to Bob about this yesterday, but
Mhm.
we was talking about them swarms and everything. It's getting swarm season. Everybody's getting fired up. But the last couple of years around this time, it's been hot and heavy for swarms.
Right.
Now, this year around the house for us, it hasn't been. Now, here's my question. We had a bunch of late season swarms. I'm talking about just about to the end of November come in.
Hmm.
The late sweet season swarms have an effect on spring swarms.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had that problem in November.
Them late
usually
season
it's-
swarms ain't gonna make it most of the time.
They didn't. I mean, we had 4 of them come in, and one of them made it to January, but that was
Looks
it.
good, Bob.
Unmute, Bob.
Hatcher out.
Just
Is
had
she ready?
She's coming out now.
No, she's out, but she's trying to get the last of that royal jelly out of in there.
Well, don't.
You better get rid of that thing. Go
Yeah,
ahead and do it now.
she'll kill her.
Yeah. She get in there. And get
I
stuck.
don't know. I mean, in November, what's your temperature down there, Tim? 60 degrees or something, or 70?
It can be 70 degrees, no problem. I mean, we've been 75, almost 80 degrees at Christmas time.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I mean, in November here, it's 32 degrees. Or at the best, maybe you might hit a nice day at 48.
She went back in.
I know that, but she'll
Tear it off.
tear it off or do something. You'll kill her, or that'll kill her. She'll get stuck.
Get your fat behind out of there, girl.
There we go. You back, Doug?
She came
Try
back
that.
out, Bob. Her wings get hung.
See if that works better.
Yeah. Well, what you do is the original screen that you click on, you have to turn that volume off, and then when you come into the StreamYard, there she is. Here, let me see if I can put you on.
Well,
There you are.
Brand new mama.
all right, in your house, girl. Go get your honey from the bottom there, and then I'll come back with a pin and mark you up. Oh, you don't want to go in? Boy, she looks good. Go
How
in
many
there.
does that make now, Bob?
This year, whoop, she's trying to get out. There we go. 20. Well, when these all hatch out, 28. 28 I've made so far this year. So now I
Remember
gotta
what we talked about. When you get all them bugs worked out, give us a holler.
get-
Making me jealous, Bob.
So I'm going to set her on her side like old Charlie says right there. And I'm just going to give these a quick, make sure there's no more that have hatched out yet. Put them back in the incubator. All right, I'll be right back.
Make sure you put some feed on them.
Yeah, he's got some honey in that little bottom compartment and all. And you might, take your finger and dip it in some water and just kind of rub it across that cage, and it'll.
Need my flashlight.
Hey, Bob, and get yourself like a little cup of water.
Just
and
rub
put
it on the grate.
Yeah, put your finger in the water and then kind of rub it across the cage, and it'll whatever you call that, tension across the little square holes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
that way
just
she
get a
can go up
cup
there
and fill it up with water and just leave it in my incubator, and you've got it there all the time.
that's for humidity, right?
Well, it's that too, but you water them with it. Same difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I know that what's his name? Richard Knoll, he puts his stuff on the side, and another guy up here, Ed, he was telling me when he was doing queens last year that he found that they do better if you lay that cage on its side so they don't keep dropping down.
Yeah, I see
and
that.
all that.
Yeah. That makes sense because they keep going up and falling down, going up, falling down.
They're gonna
Like
hurt
just
themselves.
constantly. Yeah. Yeah.
Hurt themselves after a while. So Tim, all right. So you have late swarms in November, and
That's
then you
odd.
have swarms in maybe March. You say?
End of February, beginning of March, we can have swarms.
Jeez.
Yes, sir.
So why?
Um,
So if you have a late swarm, what's? I guess what I'm asking is the cause of the late swarm. Is she still, just laying up a storm at that point in time of the year?
I mean,
Or are
around
they- Hmm?
here at the house, whenever we get into them, yeah, I mean, we can still have good slabs of brood coming in. And that queen, she'll kind of start shutting on down. We'll get some good cold fronts late November, early December. And when those cool fronts start coming in, she'll go to backing on off. But like this year, the end of January, going into February, we was already starting to ramp up 65, 70 degrees. We had just a few days in February where it got what we would call cold at freezing or just below. But it wouldn't stay but 2 or 3 days. Then it's right back 65, 68 degrees. And 40s, you might get the mid 40s at nighttime.
But
Right.
where you're at, you ought to be able to raise a lot of bees down there. You got a long season. A long season.
Now we talked to Dirt Rooster last year. I mean, God love him. He's been gracious enough to answer questions when we got him. And whenever we was getting into wanting to know how long or when should we stop splitting,
Yeah.
and he said, as far as like really doing, I guess, walkaways, anything like that, September pretty well cut it off.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine we could go into October type thing, but we was just kind of going off by what he does. So when it comes to splitting or, trying to do anything like that, we pretty well start backing down about mid-September.
Yeah, I just, if to me, I'll say, swarm would be more of a population thing and all, but,
The only thing I could get out of it was the late season swarms and whether there's a couple people around us. There's a big landowner across the road, and he's got a couple hives himself, but they just do it for the watermelons and stuff. They don't do
Right.
any kind of bee work. It's just total pollination over there.
Did they use a
And
lot of nuke boxes over there? Like
no, so they
5 frame
just got
nuke?
it's just deeps what they running over there.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep them watermelon fields and all that going.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe
But-
they swarming out of them 5 framers, but that ain't it either.
Mm-mm.
Like I say, the only thing I could come up with in my little old brain was if the late season swarms, yeah, we had them. That just knocked the numbers down going into winter. And they really haven't had time, I guess, to build back up for the spring. But here at the house, we done a split on Valentine's Day. And Buddy, we went in just a couple weeks ago. She went out, done her mating flight, come back, and she is laying up a storm in there. We've already had to pull 2 cells off of her.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So you're 2 rounds already into the season?
Yes, sir. We got one other split out there we did day before yesterday that had 4 queen cells on it. We just left them on that frame to kind of let them battle that out. But yeah, we already went to our second pretty well. Just
Go
walk
and do
away
your
split.
second one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like to me. I mean, you how many hives you got now? You were trying to grow, I think.
Let's see, we're about 7 now. We was at
7.
5 coming into the winter. Yep, we at the 7
Well,
now.
sound like to me you can do all kinds of splits. If they're that prolific, that
Yeah.
you could make 5 or 6 nukes splits. As long as you can get some queens, or if they got a queen cell, transfer that over. Let them use all that stuff and all.
That's what we're going to kind of do whenever they start throwing them swarm cells good. We got some horizontal hives we want to get filled back up. We're going to get them packed out and kind of just carry on from there. But the ones we're doing our single brood chamber in, brother, that deep box, I mean, it's 10 frames of brood. It's slimmer on the end, don't get me wrong, but she's got brood both sides, all through and through. They got plenty of, honey and feed and pollen and all that type stuff, but they packing them out.
All right.
Yeah.
So she's marked, she's got water, and she's got some honey on there. And she's got honey in the bottom. If you can see it right there in the bottom of the roller cage. So she's good to go. Gonna go put her back in the incubator to keep her warm.
Are you gonna put attendants with them, Bob?
I don't have any attendants in the house. She's gonna be in here till the morning at least.
Yeah.
So
she should be fine.
If you're gonna keep her for any amount of time, put some in there. Unless you're gonna use them tomorrow or something.
well, if the weather's good. Otherwise, they might. I hate to say it. If the weather's bad, they might get banked on a colony where the nurse bees can feed them up, right?
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, right now it's 1 out of 10, so might be the only one. You don't know. Might be the only one out of the 10. So,
Don't count your chickens for the hatch, right?
yeah, right now I got one to deal with tomorrow.
We're gonna try to get the yard up to about 25 or so before the end of the season. That's our goal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I would say you could possibly, that definitely can do that as much as they're laying as what you say.
Yeah, I'd be making splits off of them now if I could.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd take a 5-frame nuke and I'd put at least 3 frames of brood in there and some food and maybe an open frame. Of course, if you have a queen cell, you don't really need an open frame, but there's some food and pollen in there, and time she gets back and whatever, she'll have all kinds of bees and everything. You should be good in shape. Well, Duck River just pinned a comment, the link to that test tube thing, Bob. I'll check it out and see what it is. See if it's mine. Same thing I found on YouTube. I'll buy that for my incubator. So, Doug, you say, I know you got, 1,000 hives or so, something up there in Manitoba?
No, we're between 300 to 400 in that.
300 or 400? Okay. Do you insulate them or wrap them somehow, or?
Yeah, they're wrapped with it's a black wrap that's insulated.
Is that like a plastic wrap, that bee cozy type stuff?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But you can buy it where you can wrap them. You can make it yourself or whatever.
Well, we buy it. They're wrapped in. There's 4 hives to a wrap.
Oh, okay. So you can put 4 hives into a wrap. Okay. So you're kind of banking on all the hives generating, sharing the heat plus putting the wrap around all 4 hives.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to get a sheltered yard out of the wind and stuff. Wind is hard on them up here.
Yep. That's why I have the their carpet is off now, but that's why I put carpet around mine there. I know that the wind blows through the wintertime like that, and it helps greatly. It's not so much of an insulator, it's more of a windbreak.
Yeah.
And all that. So I took them off last Sunday, and it's been, like right now it's almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's, it's warm. It's going to be a little windy, but I think next week they're talking like 70 degrees during the weekdays. So I don't think the wind's going to bother them too much now.
Well, we were close to thawing today.
You're what?
We were close to thawing today, and supposed
thawing?
Yeah, we're supposed
a little bit above freezing, huh? 30. So that would be what you're maybe 5 degrees Celsius or something like that.
No, we haven't got there yet. Today the warm was about -2 Celsius, but the sun's a little warmer. The air is cold, but the sun's warm.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to go to -7 here next week again, which is, I don't know, -12, -14 Fahrenheit, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, be
But this
Zero
is-
is 32, right? That's the way
Yeah.
that works. So you're probably in the 20s, at minus something. So
This has been kind of a stupid month here. Been cold.
Ain't that the truth?
well, it's been the same way here. It's been a roller coaster ride up until I'll say this last Sunday, and I was watching the pre-forecast for the next week or two, and it would go from it might be 60 degree today. I had one day there, it was 60 degrees, and 2 days later it's snowing, and it was flurries, but it was still cold enough to snow. And then it would go in the 20s at night, and then up in the 40s during the day. And it kept up and down, up and down, up and down. Then would hit a 50 or so. And people wanted to jump in and break the seals on the hives and stuff. And I said, you just gotta, you just gotta wait. It's all all you can do. Hey, Brian.
Hey guys.
And
Hey, Brian.
Hello.
so that's what I've been doing. That's why I waited till last Sunday, because it was the first day it was 60 degrees, and I could see that the weather was starting to calm down. Now we got these rainstorms and wind and everything. You say you had a lot of wind out there, Brian, in Colorado?
Yeah, it's actually passed by. I would say around 6 o'clock it started letting up, so it's gone. We got our power back. I'm sure there was like branches knocking down power lines, but we just got it back. So yeah, we had wind bad all day yesterday afternoon too. So all those tornadoes everyone's talking about.
Yeah, what kind of gust? Like 40 mile an hour or something? Or
worse than that.
Worse than that?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'd make it up, but it's like stuff where branches are falling over. I have a greenhouse in my backyard. I've got like strapped down so it doesn't blow over. I came home from work and proceeded to clean up my backyard because there was shit everywhere. So we've gotten through the worst of it, but it looks like other people are getting the worst of it now.
Yeah, we're coming this way.
Got it bad today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, tornado come through Memphis too, Little Rock.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
It made it up by Memphis.
Yeah, the north part of it there. Milligan.
What happened? What happened there? It was a tornado?
Yeah. Yeah, Little Rock got hit hard.
Yeah, they did.
They said there was like 600 folks hurt. Something to do with 600 folks over there.
It hit downtown, I think.
Yeah, so I wanted to go. I just got back on, but I've been listening the whole time. I wanted to, if you don't mind, go back and just retouch on a couple things.
Sure.
Bob translated the syrup really well. That's what I do. I do the 3 gallons to 25 pound a bag for the 1-to-1. And then to make it that 1.3 to 1, I just do 4 gallons of water to that 25 pound bag. And then Charlie, as far as recipes with parts, it doesn't matter what the part is. You choose the part. If it's 1-to-1, it could be 1 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon, 1 gallon to 1 gallon. That's one of the benefits about a recipe in parts like that. You can scale up or down as much as you want. So you decide what the part is. That's what I was screaming into the stream, as no one could hear me when you said that.
Now I see, what was it? I based it when I was cooking sugar on the stove in the house. I was based on 10 pounds of sugar, and I must have did it by pounds and pounds of water. I'm not sure.
That's pretty close.
That's the other thing. Weight and volume, as far as making syrup, are so minimally different. It doesn't really matter.
Don't really matter. Yeah,
that's right.
So I had figured out that it was like, I guess it was pounds. It was like 2.5 quarts of water to 10 pounds of sugar. If it was a 2-to-1. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why measure out? I was measuring water out, in the kitchen. I'm like, just make it 3 quarts. And that's how I came up with that. And then if it was a 1-to-1 solution, I said, okay, let's make it 5 quarts, because it mathematically kind of came out that way.
And did you
Well, it'd be
just see
2.5,
Bob?
and 2.5 would be 5, 5 quarts.
Did you just see Bob drinking from that gallon-sized iced tea jug? That's what I use. Yep. So those jugs, perfect gallon size. It's a nice thick plastic.
And
It's
guess
obviously
what?
food grade.
That'll probably fit on a Pro Nuke too.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it'll work.
So, yeah.
Do you just lay them in there, Brian, or you stand them on top? How you do that?
Oh, no, Mark, I have beehives in people's backyards, so that's how I'm getting my syrup from my truck to my hives.
I
Right?
got
So
you.
I'll make a big batch at home, then load up like 10 of those for whatever I need. And so now's the season where I'm drinking a lot of iced tea to restock up on my jugs. But I mean, that's one of my things I'm working on. That's a huge bottleneck for me. And
Right.
that's just how I've managed getting syrup to people's backyards.
If you go like in the back of a grocery store,
Yeah.
grease comes in these right here.
Yeah. See, that's going to wreck my back if I fill that with syrup and try
It's
to
like
get
5
it to
gallons.
It's not
backyard.
that heavy. It really ain't that heavy.
Well,
You
with
can fill
5
half.
gallons,
Yeah.
that's
Brian,
like
you
60
what
pounds,
do you
though.
have? What do you have, Brian? Lower back problems?
I got back problems. I got neck problems. I've been dealing with chronic back pain for about 15 years, Charlie. So, I was born with a kyphosis and a scoliosis. And when I was a kid, my doctor was like, if it doesn't hurt, don't worry about it. And it didn't hurt for like 30 years. And then, you know how it goes, gravity kicks in. And it's been a slow downhill battle from there.
You need to rig you up a pump, Brian. Somehow.
Yeah, it's been something I've been considering. I'm kind of like on the edge of scale where that makes sense and doesn't make sense. So it's going to depend on how I grow or don't.
Well, if you got that new yard there at that
that'll help, yeah.
thing where you can
which
drive
I get
along.
access to on Monday, so I'm super excited to go and check it out.
Yeah, but if you get it there and you got yourself, the pickup, I mean, I got a sprayer tank from Tractor Supply, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Charlie, I've watched your videos several times.
You've seen them.
Yep.
And
so
I mean,
what I'm considering.
Yeah, and then if you can get a mixing tank, and you could use the one like just little bits of honey had, where it's just a trash pump, a submergible trash pump where it'll mix. You can mix up 40, 50 gallons cold, or you could use hot water out of your hot water heater and let that sugar melt a little bit for you, and then have that valve where you could have it close to, let's say, your garage door or something, and pump it right over into the 40-gallon tank. Use the pump to pump it, and then you take it to that new yard. All you got to do is drive by with a 20-foot hose if it's close, and just pump it off onto your feeders, whatever style feeder you got.
Yep, that's what I'm considering, and it
It's
may happen this year.
It's a game changer. I mean, for you, it's like you're like me. I mean, I've had issues with my lower back and stuff over the years, and I've fixed some of it by doing certain exercises and things. And but I'm always concerned on how I do stuff as far as my lower back goes, and that's not bothered me. Well, here lately it has, but my SI joints have been giving me problems. But then
I've had SI surgery. I've got 3 pins in my right SI joint.
Really?
Yeah.
So anyway, I have upper back issues here lately in the last several years, and it's just like that honey tank that I got, the bottling tank. Instead of me carrying up 50-pound pail of honey up with a gate up the staircase out of the basement to bottle honey, now all I have to do is I fill that tank up, keep it filled, and all I got to do is go out there. I got it on a scissors lift. I jack that thing up, and I don't used to be, I used to wait till I was almost out of my supply area. Now, if I'm 5 or 6 bottles down, I just go out there and jack it up. In 5 minutes, I'm done. You know, and then I'll maybe dump a bucket of honey in there once a month, once every 2 or 3 weeks, you know. And last time I just dumped 2 buckets in there, about 110 pounds. But I moved it with a hand truck dolly from the basement, ran out the basement garage door and up the sidewalk and then in the house. And the only lifting I had to do was to get it from the floor to a step thing I made, and from the step thing up to the table, and then kind of lift it up and just pour it in there. And,
did you ever pull the trigger on a hive lifter? What did you decide on that, Charlie? You're gonna wait?
Right now, I'm gonna start managing my honey a little bit better. Where instead of having skyscraper honey boxes, like Lee had that video where he had 3 boxes of capped honey. Yeah. It's like I told him, I said, Lee, if I have something like that this year, I won't have 3 boxes. If I find a box here and a box over here enough to make 1 load of my extractor, I'm taking it to the extractor. I mean, and I'll keep spinning honey out through the honey season. Yeah. And then I'll put them supers back on. You figure you put wet supers on there, them bees are going to go nuts.
That's what I did last year.
And I think that'll save my back in the long run. I'll do smaller amounts, and and that's the way I harvested my honey last year. I said, okay, instead of bringing 20 or 30 boxes in at one time, and then like, okay, we got to get this done quick before the wax worms or whatever, you know, get wild on me or hatch eggs. I only brought in 6 boxes at a time. And that way I got that done first. And then I went back out to the stacks and harvested some more. And it works. It just works better for me.
And I prefer that too. I think some people just want to rip it off like a Band-Aid and get it all done at once. Especially if you don't have a honey situation set up. You know, you set it up for the weekend, bring friends over and bang it all out. But I'm just like you. I need honey in June because I'm going to market. So I'm going to pull my honey off as soon as possible so I can get that honey to market and then put those frames back on. And they're going to fill them up real quick because they're wet with honey that you just spun out.
It's easier to attack the nectar source too and keep up with it.
Yeah.
We have a hive lifter. They work all right, but they take a bit of muscle to use them too.
That's what it looks like.
You got to be on pretty good level ground.
Yeah.
As well. If it's not good and level, you got to use more muscle on them. But we
now, Doug, do you have the one that's kind of like a front end loader style, that number 2 style that he came out with, or do you have the one that looks kind of like a hand truck, like Brad uses?
Yeah, it'll be like Brad. It's 2 wheels and a 12-volt winch on it.
Okay, yeah, that's the first. That's like Brad has.
Yeah,
up there, Brad Faith Apiaries. Yeah, he actually has said that to me himself. He said that thing is kind of a bear to use. So,
yeah,
well, that's my plan as far as what I'm doing. I mean, you guys are using deeps and everything, which is a lot of weight.
Yeah,
and all. You were talking about your son buying one of them Italian or something hive lifters.
Yeah.
Or has he got that yet, or is he decided to buy it?
I expect it'll be another month, 6 weeks yet before we see it.
Mm-hmm. Doug there's gotten one of them hive lifters like Ian has, but it's a different brand from another country. And all.
Gentlemen, while there's a break, I'm gonna skin it. I do appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
All right.
All right.
Take it easy, Tim.
Tim.
Yeah, take care, buddy.
You guys were talking.
All right,
you guys
Tim.
were talking about the price of sugar. I just looked ours up here. We're $19 for 1 kilogram. Kilogram here is a little over 2 pounds. So our sugar's awful cheap to what yours is. I don't really know why they're different.
$19 for how many kilograms?
1 kilogram, a little 2.2 pounds for $18. A little over $9 a pound.
Wow. That's
Wow. That's unreal.
I'd have some starving bees. I'd have some.
Yeah, I'll be burning some bees.
Why is it so high?
Just
Is it
the way
because
it
of
is.
your dollar value or something, or what?
Probably a lot of that. They tell me there's a shortage of sugar because of the price of fuel. A lot of these countries that produce sugar are now using it to make alcohol, to make fuel.
But don't they grow beets up north up there?
In
North
Alberta?
Minnesota?
Alberta does, yeah. That's where our sugar comes from.
Looks like it
I
wouldn't be
don't
that high.
know. I mean, that's like that corn alcohol. I mean, it's a bunch of bull because
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is when you put alcohol in gasoline, you actually weaken the power of the gasoline and you'll get less miles per gallon because of it. You know, and so that means you're burning more gas to pollute more. So it's another snow job by the government. You know.
Tell us how you really feel, Charlie.
Now, Charlie, well, they wouldn't do that.
Well, when I was in the pharmaceutical industry, I bought a van. It was a Chevy
Astra or
no, was the Venture, not the Venture. I don't know. It was the Uplander. I had an Uplander, and it ran on E85. And I said, "Man, I bought this E85 van, and I can't find E85 gas anywhere." And he said, "Well, that's a good thing." He said, "Because if you look at it, you don't save as much on the gas as the fuel mileage you're losing. So you're actually going backwards. You're paying more per gallon or per mile per gallon."
yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." So I've always just used 87 and it worked fine.
I don't know. But that's just like I watched a video. One guy, he was experimenting, I guess you would call it, where he had a Chevrolet Volt, I think it is the electric car.
Right.
And he was out in the Midwest. He charged it up 100%. He got on their interstate. I'll say it's out in Indiana or someplace where it's flat. And he went all the way out. He said, I had to get off the first exit because they don't have that many exits, together, close. And then he turned around and came right back towards the charging station. And he didn't even make it to, he made it, I think, right where you have to get off the interstate to go to the charging station. The thing was out of fuel or out of electric. And he coasted in. Luckily, it was downhill slope to coast into the charging station. And he only went 80 miles. He was going 70 miles an hour, which was the speed limit. He went, I think, a round trip of about 80 miles. I said, that's it off of one charge? I mean, if you can't hit 300 miles between charges.
Charlie, how long ago was that, though?
Oh, I don't know.
I just get way more than 80 miles now.
It's got to be. But,
what does it cost to charge one of them?
I don't know.
Like a tank of gas. You plug it in and it charges by the kilowatt hour, I think.
Do you have to pay to charge in the public ones?
Yes. Well, maybe not the public ones, but I know like when you go to those Tesla charging stations, it's just like a gas pump. You're putting your card down or your Apple Pay or whatever and paying for it. Oh, through the app, I think, through the phone app.
Yeah, unless you, I know one guy, he bought one and he bought a used Tesla, but it came with that thing when they first started out, that you charge for life for free or something like to get you to buy one and all that. He still has it and all. And then he talked about, go ahead, but Doug.
You can use your 110 plug-in, the normal one, but they say you get about 4 miles for every hour of charging. You can put a better one in, but it's a 50 amp circuit. And I guess overnight you might get a full charge.
Right. That's
Not
what this what this guy did. He put one of them 50 amp superchargers, they called them, in to plug his car in and stuff like that. So the thing of
Around
it
here,
is,
they turned our air conditioner off in the summer. Turned the power off for 2 or 3 hours each day. Said that we're low on electricity. So why do they want to make battery powered cars?
well, you're exactly right. I mean, they all say, well, we're going to be all electric by such and such a year or whatever. At least they try to do that. And I'm like, I asked the one guy, I said, well, how many more new nuclear power plants are y'all getting ready to build? How many more
Yeah.
coal-fired power plants? How many hydroelectric power plants you all going to get ready to build? You need about another, 200 of them in order to keep up with demand?
They ain't
You
figured
look
all
at
that out.
California. California can't even keep up with its own demand
Right.
out there, and they want all that by, 2030 or something like that?
Look at the price of electricity now. You raise the demand up, and it's going to triple in price.
All those high priced people in the UN say by 2035, no more fossil fuel. 12 years? They're not in this real world, those people.
No.
Just the farming industry. In 12 years, what are you going to do with, you scrap all of your farm fueled machinery and go to electric?
Never happen.
No.
We'll
No.
never see it anyway.
Yeah. It just, they'll get it had the bird flu and killed all them birds, and then eggs went up to what, $6-8 a dozen or something like that. People were screaming.
You guys don't have carbon tax down there? Like up here, our government, they put a carbon tax. We're going up 3 cents a liter tomorrow. We're 14. So we're 14 cents a liter. Multiply that by 4. About 56 cents a gallon we pay the government tax. Just for a carbon tax.
Yeah, they come up, but they were here in Maryland. They actually we had this one goofy governor, and we're going to give you a rain tax. Basically,
Hey, someone time that guy out. Albus Dumbledore, time him out.
Blocking.
Yeah,
didn't seem.
They're taxing God now. That's bad. Come on, really. You can't write off your donation to the church anymore. What's up with that?
But it's just like Brian was talking about. What was it? You just passed a law that you could take rainwater, 255 gallon drums of rainwater off your roof.
Yeah.
I understand the in your area, rain or water is the most valuable commodity. And all.
And what you guys are all saying about electric cars is all right, but we got to do something to get to the place where we're not dependent on fossil fuels anymore. And like you guys didn't even mention all of the negative stuff with all the lithium batteries that they're making to make this happen. That's terrible for the environment. But we've got to muck through this pace. We've got to muck through all these not great ideas to figure out how to finally get free of fossil fuels. We're going to have to figure it out eventually. And
the only way to do that, Brian, is go back to horse and buggy.
I hope not.
I think
that's it. I mean, there's no other options.
Well, I'll tell you, back in the 70s, right here in Harper County, Maryland, down here at Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is the government military base, and these 4 scientists, they invented this thing called a hydrogen motor.
Yeah.
And it was in a Cadillac car, and one of the motors was in a boat. And this is 1970, back in all that. And they actually had interviewed Mari Savior, whatever, on 60 Minutes try to interview the guy. He said, I can't say a thing, or he said, they're going to lock me up. He said, the FBI raided us. It confiscated both of them motors. And that was all, nobody really knows much about it, but I remember it. And my father's nephew, who's about 80 some years old, he was a pharmacist. He knew them all. They're all passed away now. But there you are. That's what I say. There's what's sitting on the shelf.
Right.
Until when the old barons and all that get, lined up to where they're going to transition over. I think all these different cars like this Prius, which was a gas and a generator type of car, that was a go-between. And now you got the Tesla. I think that was what Musk was the one that owns that company that does Tesla. I think he got in there, and he's one of those guys that has a plenty of money that they couldn't stop him. They couldn't shut him up. They couldn't, it was like, what was it? What was the guy who invented the turret for the gunships and stuff? And then he had a car. I can't think of it there. They started with a T, I thought.
Is it Tucker?
Tucker.
Yeah.
He needed modeling clay. Well, then the big three says, don't sell him any modeling clay. Let's shut him down. And they did, basically. They shut him down. You're not going to cut into our business. We're in control. And I think that's where it's going to now with this electric car. Musk was able to get in because he's forced the other three to bring out electric cars because he had plenty of money. But I think the hydrogen car is what the hydrogen engine is what it will finally evolve to. I don't think, it's, but I don't, now you're back to water. How much water do we have to be able to do all that kind of stuff?
We have some city buses here that run on hydrogen. And right now they're converting 3 big CP locomotive engines to hydrogen. One of the problems they're having with it is to get enough power for long runs with it. They actually have one that they're using for shuttling in the yards and stuff now. But to make hydrogen, you have to have a lot of electricity too. So it's not 100% answer, but it's going that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's always something that they start out with something over here on the left, and then maybe somebody else comes along and takes what they had and makes it better and stuff like that. But someday it'll come up with something like that. And all I don't know what it's going to be, but you got to get the same durability. You got to get out of a vehicle that at least goes 300 miles, and I think it's like the electric car. Well, it takes so many hours to charge it or whatever for so many miles, and when you can charge something in the same amount of time you can pump gas, then it'll work.
Yeah.
And until then, it's just not going to work at all. But
Man,
what
Charlie,
that's
you got some fans in the chat tonight.
Which one is it?
We'll have 5,000 on there for it.
There's a bunch of them. I've been John Doe, Albus
Bob,
Dumbledore.
did you ever look at that? Go ahead.
Oh, go for it, Mark.
Did you ever look at that thing that Duck River Honey sent?
He sent me a. Oh, here comes Doug back. He sent me a thing here on. Let me see if I can go to it.
Wondering what size that was.
I think this is it. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, it's Pocomoko. Pocomco. He's got a link in that last video, guys. $13.69. It's the same one that I looked at. It's got yeah, it's 3 packs of plastic. There's 21 holes, and they're 30 millimeter test tubes. They'll hold 30 millimeter test tubes. That's the one that's got an 1 3/16.
Did you put a link on where to get it?
Yeah, there's a link. Yep.
I can't see the chat, Charlie. Can you email it to me?
Let me see if I can copy this. Oh, stop.
And I'm watching basketball, bro. My girls are losing right now, so.
How bad are they losing, Bob?
4 points.
That ain't bad. How much
All
time
right,
you got?
all right, here's the
4 minutes in the third.
here's the link for everything. Right there.
Oh, come on.
I can't see it.
Can you see it?
I don't see the chat.
That's a long link.
It's actually a link for the incubator and the racks, but they're 30 millimeter racks. That's what they are, 30 millimeter size holes for the things, and that's an 1 3/16. So that'll fit these queen cages, roller cages. You can go to his link, Mark. You've been to his website.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the latest. I don't know. Learn how to be a bee business number 18 or whatever it's called.
Okay.
Let me see if I get back to that. The video is building a bee business vlog number 8. He's got it pinned right to the top.
I've enjoyed that series. I really like his presentation. He's got a really really thoughtful and methodical way of presenting information. I think he does a really nice job with his videos.
Nathan's really intelligent too. I mean, he's smart.
You can tell. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's videos like that has prevented me from putting out any videos.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I can talk, but like just the quality of the stuff I've done so far has just been garbage. So, I mean, if no one can hear what I'm saying, what's the point of putting it out?
Yeah, I understand.
And I've got the same thing. I was watching Silver Gorilla talking over in the comments. I've got the same issue. I only have so much time and energy, and that's always been a goal of mine, but it often's gotten bumped down on the priority list because that doesn't really pay the bills.
That's major.
I'm not looking for fame. I'm just kind of wanting to join the community because I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like me. When I did that video, I did 9 out of those 12 hives, but a lot of that time was that first hive where I had to sit there and, I tell people, I said, every time, there's an intro shot and then there's might be 2 or 3 body clips of the film. And then there's always the last shot is your exit shot, like and subscribe and all the other stuff and kind of wind it up. And then and that was like 3 or 4 days. I was so darn tired and wore out and finally got going. And I will have to say, after a year of doing them things, you got it in your mind on how you're laying it out on the when you're putting those film clips together. And I didn't really have to cut a whole lot. Now, the only thing I did was I tried to shorten the time down where I was digging through that hive, and you'll notice where it jumped over to about the last frame.
Yeah.
There were some other things you don't, I'm trying to, and another thing is while you're doing all this, you're talking to keep people's interest and things like that and all that kind of stuff. So,
and you could have probably just pressed play and done the whole thing and then just pressed stop at the end. But those are really boring hour-long videos to watch.
You talking about my videos, man?
No, Bob, you're different and you're like Cayman. You talk through the entire thing, no matter what you're doing in your videos. You're presenting, right? So there's
you
never
mean
that
me or
dead.
Bob?
Me.
Well, Bob, I mean, you cut your videos, so you're still presenting for every second. Some people are just like filming themselves in a hive, pulling a frame out, just doing what you do in a colony. And, editing it down makes it more concise and makes it more absorbable, digestible for the customer.
I try to keep my stuff around 12 minutes or no longer than 12.
Yeah.
And even then, that's a little long.
Sometimes, and I know you've been Go ahead, Bob.
Get it all in there, though. Sometimes you can't get it all in 12 minutes.
That's true. Yeah. But I've really enjoyed, I know you guys have been watching, or at least you, Charlie, have been watching Tim Huffman's queen rearing videos. Mm-hmm. I love how it's like a single idea, 3-4 minutes long, right? And I'm sure he's making a playlist out of them, and you can go and put them all together, but, just nice little snippets like that.
Yeah, so see, he has that there cage, and I bought one of them at Hive Life myself, where you can put a deep frame in there.
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to use that as a timing box cage. And the only thing I was thinking, he had one in there. He said he left her in that thing for 4 days. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if she's laid it up, she probably will lay it up quicker than 4 days, I would think.
Right.
You would let her lay up 24 hours, then take her out. If anything, keep it in that cage so the bees will maintain it. And then it's that frame has not been, laid any more in there. And that way, you know exactly how much how much the eggs are old width wise.
Because if it's in there for 4 days, you're doing the same thing with any other frame that wasn't in that cage. You're still trying to find the youngest larva out of those 4 days.
Right. Well, if she's in there for 4 days, she's timed out exactly right.
Yep.
Now I'm going to try that. That's another thing I'm going to try in my queen rearing.
And no need for a timing box. They're nice. The one.
Well, no, all you had that frame made you a timing box.
That's right.
Like Bob Benny down there at Hive Life, I think his timing box was what, Bob, about $130 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. I said, yeah, I bought this for $30, and I can make any box a timing box.
Yeah.
Todd, didn't he show us one that he built with the 2 queen excluders or 2 plastic queen excluders?
Yeah, who did
I
that?
made one myself, and I've got one myself, and I just what I did last year was, I've got several different places to put the vertical divider, and I would just have on one side 6 frames, on the other side 3 frames with the queen, and almost without fail, I could find a frame to graft off of that I needed. I didn't need a lot last year, but it was pretty easy just on those 3 frames to find what I needed and not juggle frames around. But I'm definitely using the cage this year because I'm going to be scaling.
Yeah, I've seen that in other. I didn't understand exactly, but a lot of guys will have 4 frames, and they'll put the queen over here next to the queen excluder on that frame, and it sounds like she stays there. Sort of. And then you move that frame back to the back, and I don't know, it's a rotation on that one side.
Yeah, I'm not sure I get it completely either, but I think what's happening is you're putting her on that only frame. That's the only frame she can lay on because the other ones are filled up. and then you're moving it.
There
And,
you
yeah,
go.
so you're constantly moving it on, and then you're taking the back one that's hatched out, right, and moving it. So I think that's it, but it is a little bit confusing for me too.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, it's about 11 o'clock or a little after. I think I'm going to shut her down for the night, and I got to get up tomorrow. So
Yeah, Mark's making me feel lazy there.
Whew. I'm about to get tired.
My
Well,
work
thanks
starts tomorrow. I got a bunch to do.
yeah.
I'm
All right,
trying to
well-
stage equipment in the yards, get it out there. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it sounds
Mark-
like we're all right on the edge. Bob's already there, and the rest of us are pretty darn close to getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DC wants to know how many hives you got, Mark.
Oh,
think
I
that's
don't
what it
know. I'm probably down to about 65 or 63, something like that.
Yeah.
A lot
All
of
right. Well, I'm going to close her down, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight and all that. And I think we had a pretty good chat tonight.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, great talk.
I enjoyed it.
all right.
Well,
Till
good
next time. We'll catch you
guys.
later.
Easy.
Good night.
Now, y'all.